Hi, and welcome to another Their Side. Thanks for everyone for joining us. Today we're very, very lucky to be joined by Rich Hiatt. So we're going to be interviewing Rich, and we've also got a number of old fart skateboarders with us. We've got Tony Hallam over here to my side. We've got Mark Zerafa, and we've got Clint Chin-Quan.
Old fart number three.
Old fart number three. So welcome to the panel today, guys. Thanks very much for joining us and talking about Rich. We're pretty excited about this one.
Having us.
You guys know each other from a long way back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Early 80s, yeah.
Yeah, 81 with Tony and Mark, and 79, 80 at Ringwood.
79, 80, yeah.
Yeah, with Clint. So.
Before we jump into that stuff, mate,
Yeah.
what was life like before you started skateboarding?
Pretty good, actually. I had a mini bike, and my dad was a shooter and rode motorbike comps and stuff like that. So I used to go shooting, fishing, and motorbike riding.
Pretty outdoorsy.
Yeah, pretty outdoorsy. And then my mum's brother, hence, was a surfer and a skateboarder.
Okay.
And that's what got me into that kind of thing.
So where did you pick up your first skateboard?
My first skateboard was off my uncle, was a chalky board that he had, that we'd found. I think we found it at his house or something like that, and we rode that a bit. That was the very first time that I'd seen one, and then like of that style. Then we found one down the tip at Burwood Tip where the Vermont ramp is, and we rode that for a little bit. And then from there, the next one that I got was a Condor.
Condor.
Yeah, because my dad worked in Moorabbin at a place called Ulmer Engineering, and Condor Engineering were next door just across the road. So we scored Condors for
What
Christmas.
colour?
Green.
Green one.
Yeah, I got the green one.
Transparent?
The transparent. Yes. And my brother got the blue one. And mine got snapped, I think, a week later.
Boo!
Yeah, so I lost mine. And,
Who broke it?
My brother's mate. His last name was Cactus. I can't remember what his first name
I'm
was.
still thinking about the Condor now.
Yeah, yeah.
A little wedge mould at the back.
Yeah, yeah.
There was about that much gap between the back truck and...
Yeah, and they had like a checker splay on them.
Yeah,
and
Yeah,
no,
that's right.
The kick was mould, it wasn't.
Yeah,
wasn't
yeah.
a
No, that's right.
walk,
Yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, so that's sort of the first skateboard that I had was my Condor, and then from that, when that broke, a few of my other mates, I was asking Mum the other day, she reckons I first started skating in 73.
Okay.
So I would have been 6 or 7. And the first, the first real quarter pipe and that I rode would have been in about 77.
Yeah.
And that was a couple of friends that were rich in the neighbourhood, had all the latest gear, and they had skateboards. So they had like the old Sims, is it the Pro Taper? With
Taper kick.
Taper kick, yeah, and all that sort of jazz. Around about 77, 78.
That's early for that stuff.
Yeah, and they had quarter pipes because their parents had been to the States and they had stuff.
Who were they?
The Spains. So they had them, and then further down the road was another crew who had older brothers, and same deal there. They had a quarter pipe and a steep driveway, and that's the first time I started riding the Kryptonic foam boards. And I don't know when they came out, Tane.
78.
Yeah, so it would have been 78.
Geez, they were advanced.
You mean the
Yeah.
foam fiberglass ones?
That was pretty slick gear
And
back
the
then.
blue-
To have it here.
And,
That's
and the blue Kryptonics with the bevel on both sides. Remember them?
yeah.
Yeah. The wider
Yeah, the
ones
wider
with
ones.
the, yeah.
They look like UFOs.
If you had like 4-inch trucks, they'd still stick out the sides of your board because they were like that
I'm
wide.
pretty sure they had something like that anyway, and that's the first time I got the top of a quarter pipe. So
What about UFOs?
I don't know what they were, but they were blue and they were grippy and fast. That's all I remember
Yeah, okay.
for back then.
UFOs, ridiculous
But
wheels.
But their quarter pipe, you come down the driveway and then go, and it was up underneath in the garage, and your ass would hit the roof when you got high. But like we were saying to Aaron the other day, the gnarly part was coming down because there was always that bit of metal on the bottom to stop the connection, and that's what would take most people out on the way back down. You'd think, I've done it. Bang!
A few kingpin hooks.
Yeah.
So were you hooked straight away?
Yeah, I was, but so what happened was that Condor broke, and then from then on, I just got everybody else's boards. Now, there was always the banana boards laying around and all this and that at mates' houses, but we didn't have that kind of stuff. And then the next time that I got my own board was in 79, and it was an ace board from a push bike shop in Mitcham, and that had Ace trucks on it, and Ace wheels, and they weren't Ace, they were shit. Back then, they were
Was
shit.
that the Ace company that's still around now?
Yeah,
Do you know about that?
probably.
I wouldn't be.
As a
no,
different-
no.
different-
because that's a
Yeah, Ace is Sydney based, I believe.
Yeah.
Because Ace was to do with skateboard world, I think.
Oh, right, yeah, from
Yeah.
back then,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, it was pretty bad, and I think I had that for a couple of weeks, and then
Was it Ace or Star? It was both, wasn't it?
was
I
both,
thought it was
yeah,
both.
yeah, Star
Yeah.
Trucks and
Yeah.
Ace wheels
yeah.
and Ace decks.
Ace
yeah.
decks, yeah. Sorry.
But anyway, so from that, that didn't last that long. I kept the deck, and the wheels and trucks were really pus. So then that's where I first met Noel in 1978, and Noel Forsyth came, and he had a pair of Energy Bowl Rider trucks and Cubics,
yeah.
own Cubics, and I brought them off him for like $60 or something like that. I think it was at the time, and I remember him. He's going to hate me for this, but I remember he went to grab them out of his bag, and he grabbed a bag of something else out of his bag first and went, "Oh, that's not what I meant to get out of there." And then went and
Popcorn,
yeah, it was popcorn.
Yeah.
And then went to grab something else, and yeah, got them out, and yeah, so I had that, and I only had them for a few weeks, and then there was a guy that used to skate called Doc. You remember Doc Ching?
I do
Doc
actually.
That
Yeah,
name
yeah,
rings
yeah.
a bell.
Yeah. And Doc had an Elgato and a set of Indy trucks and mini cubes, and he sold me the lot with his wrist guards for $100.
I think
like-
Doc
City-
bought an Elgato because I bought an Elgato.
Yeah, and I ended up with that Elgato.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and
Oh, wow.
I rode that into the ground.
So that'd be 1980.
Yeah, it would have been 1980.
Was that black one you had?
Yeah, I had two black ones, and hence the classic story. So I had the black one, and I rode it into the ground, and Mum could just see it getting smaller and smaller, and the smile on my face getting bigger and bigger. And there was a place in Dorset Road called Skate Around, and Mum took me up there one time because I used to ride there on my bike all the time, and she goes, "Oh, I'll take you up there."
Dennis.
Yeah, Dennis, and I can't remember his wife's name. But anyway, so
Dennis
we went in, and it was
something.
It was like a lolly shop, you know, like it was because there was Surf Dive and Ski and Melbourne Surf Shop.
That's right.
No,
3 shops.
Yeah, and that was it, you know.
And
They were
what-
on
what
the
is
way
surf?
out even
And
then
they-
because
they
I
were-
used to be
yeah.
sponsored by Surf Dive, and they were, even back then that was in the like mid '70s, later '70s.
Yeah.
But by that they were out.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
They weren't doing much with skating. At all,
It's
really.
unreal.
And you had Max and Moorabbin too. They had
Yeah,
some
yeah,
good stock
but-
there too.
but-
It was so
but-
far to go, public transport to go to any of these places.
And you didn't know about it because there wasn't any of the internet or anything
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that. So
Yeah.
unless you got told by
Or
Chinese
word of mouth.
whispers, and
Yeah,
then you'd have
that's
to
right.
try and find it.
That's right. And we went out to. I would go out the
We went out there one
from
time.
Faulkner on a train. I went out there on the Ash Wednesday bushfire day to buy a pair of skate shorts.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And that's because there was like 4 or 5 shops in Melbourne.
Did they specialise in other things too, like BMX?
Roller
No,
skating.
roller
No,
skating.
just roller
Yeah.
skating.
And,
Yeah.
and you got them for the price of the dancing, the roller skating skirts. They're on the roller skating skirt. I remember because the guy didn't know, and they were like the Mad Rats were there. They're Mad Rats, aren't they, Mark? Is that what we're talking about? Yeah. He got Mad Rats, and they're on the with the skirts. I was like, and he goes, "Oh, it must be $15." I was like,
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, he was
he
good.
had the wall of stickers.
He was good.
like-
He bought him like Haynes slalom boards and.
Yeah, you had everything.
Yeah.
And
And
it was
also
like
the-
virtually like our first
Well, when I
proper American
skated for him,
shop.
he just gave us like a transition board, a slalom board. It was pretty cool.
And he had
Yeah.
downhill boards too. He had the back.
Yeah.
He showed us those.
Yeah.
Remember, we saw those hanging up.
Kitted us out.
But that was the classic with that was Mum took me up to skate around, and she goes, "Oh," and I'm going, "Oh, this," and she goes, "Oh, look at all those," and I go, "Yeah, well, that's the board that I've got at the moment that I'm wearing out." And there was an Andrecht and a Lamar and a bloody
Wow, what a
Flamer
choice,
and,
man, yeah.
like and it was all like, and I'm just going, "Oh," and just like looking at everything, and she goes, "Oh, well, geez, they're expensive because they were bloody expensive. I think
How
they were
much were
selling
they?
around about the $100 mark, weren't they?
Oh, yeah. Back
Just for a
1980.
board.
Yeah.
Yeah, just for a deck.
They were expensive.
And wheels were about $80, weren't they? And trucks were about the same.
so,
for two
yeah.
trucks.
$80 for a deck back
Yeah.
in 1981 or
Yeah.
82 or something.
Yeah.
That's a year's wages back then.
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I was like, what was
up
it,
all
around
the
about
I think
it was-
$300 to get a full setup, wasn't it, roughly?
Yeah, and you never did it. You just bought bits
Yeah,
and
yeah.
pieces because you couldn't afford it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So anyway, we went up and looked at that, and I said, "Oh, and they're the padded shorts with the, got the hip pads in them and all that sort of stuff," and it was Mad Rats and Rectors, and she goes, "Oh yeah," like this, and went home, So anyway, the week goes along, and it's a case of, have you cleaned your bloody bedroom up yet, Richard? And I go, yeah, I have. And she goes, and I want you to clean under your bed as well. And I go, yeah, Mum, I will, like this. And I knew under my bed wasn't dirty, so I didn't even bother looking, And a week's gone by and I still cop it. Clean that bedroom up and make sure you clean under your bed. Yeah, Mum, I have. No, you haven't. Don't lie to me. I'm going, yeah, I have. She goes, no, you haven't. Don't lie to me. And she goes, look, like this. And I look under my bed and there's a brand new Elgato and a set of Rectors and the Rector shorts sitting there.
What a
and she
tricky
goes,
kiss to clean under the bed,
she goes,
That's great.
do what I tell you next time like this.
Yeah.
So I've used that a few
That's
times.
cool.
That's
Have you gone looking for shit under your bed, but there's nothing there, mate?
Nah, Dad always steals all my shit. Like, I'll get a new pair of wheels or a new t-shirt and he'll steal it, like the one he's wearing today.
So it's all past the buck.
It'll be under your bed when you
But he steals
Yeah,
good
yeah.
shit though.
Yeah.
Yeah, none of my shit stuff.
So that was, and like you were saying, they're really expensive boards back
Yeah,
then.
yeah, and-
So was that a big thing for Mum?
That was massive. Like my mum worked night shift. All I can remember, Mum packed shelves at Woolies. Or she worked at Kentucky Fried Chicken. Like she was always working night shift and bringing up us kids. And Dad was working full time as well, and Saturdays as well. So my parents struggled all their life, and to get that was like, yeah, it was like a life changing thing.
Yeah, right.
For me. And then I just went. Even before that. I had this determination. I saw Ching skate and another guy, Robbie Eigner, and another guy, Dilly, and they were just ripping Ringwood to pieces. Like, there was no one else that was as good as those three guys at Ringwood. And then Johnny would show up sometimes, but he was like an enigma that you'd hardly see. But and I thought, I'm going to be as good as these guys. And I can remember probably 3 or 4 weeks after I started skating Ringwood, so that would have been in '79, that Robbie Eigner came up and I go, oh, check this out. And he goes, what? And I said, look. And I went and I dropped in the bowl because everyone had hugged the half pipe and you couldn't get in the bowl. And the only way you could get to carve the bowl was to snake everyone in the half pipe. It was like so hard to get a run there.
Yeah.
And that was it. Bang, dropped the bowl. And then I was just hooked every day. I'd be up there, ride my push bike up there and just skate Nunawading because that was just near my Omar's house. And
Is that with the 3 full pipes?
Yeah, all cut up.
Cut.
And that was a whole different kettle of fish again, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Tell us about Was it Ringwood?
Yeah, Ringwood.
Because you were talking to me on the phone the other day. You said it was pretty hard to skate.
Ringwood was, it's hard to imagine. One wall was like that, and one wall was like that. Into like about a 13-foot deep bowl.
I think it was 12.
Yeah, 12.
I think it's 12 foot deep. It was pretty deep for
It was
back in the
bloody
day.
huge. And,
No coping, just
No, nothing.
Just
Just
a
square edge.
Yep.
No.
Yeah,
Platform would be like that wide, wouldn't it? Wouldn't be much of a platform to roll
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
Try to
Into a
imagine a
cyclone
really
fence.
rough version of what's that one out
Is
in
it Ocean
Barwon
Grove?
Heads? It's
Mate.
like an Ocean
Yeah.
Grove type of
It's like
thing.
a half pop
It
into a
went
bowl, like
down-
a keyhole kind of
It was
shape.
glass smooth compared to Duffton.
So it was an
Oh,
uphill run.
yeah,
There was
totally,
no waterfalls
yeah.
sort of thing.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
all just like that.
just a big
to the
dog
deep
bone.
end.
Yeah.
And that's where, like at Ringwood, so I used to see all Ching and all the lads skate, and I was so hooked. And then they all just started dropping off because most of the guys had cars and all that, and I was 4 years younger or thereabouts. And this is before I met Tony and Mark, but there was me, Paul Posmer, which everyone knows as Pos, Rowan Griffin, Damien Johns, Hugh. What was Hugh's last name? Hugh McDowell.
Yep.
And he was, so Hugh McDowell, there was Hugh McDowell and Hugh McCraig, and they were both really good at Nunawading. But Hugh McCraig headed off to the hills and started singing The Sound of Music. And well, you went with the hills,
Okay.
right? And then
I get it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then we were all still hardcore at Ringwood. So there was this group of us Ringwood guys, and then there was Simon and all that down at Noble Park, because this was the same time as the Noble Park ramp, the youth club ramp.
This is the Radland dudes.
Yeah. And
A bit after that.
about 81.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
After
was about 81. After like you guys disappeared from Ringwood.
Redland was the Doveton days.
Yeah, that was prior. Yeah, Radland was prior, but then those guys then went to the youth club, which they got the old GFI ramps, wasn't it? Yeah, and used that to build part of that up. So so there was all these groups, and Tony and Mark were from out Fawkner. I met Tony at Skate City in Collingwood, which is now Carpet Court.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there was the big half pipe up the top there where you'd hit the roof out as well.
Yeah, that's where Dilly. I went there one time. Dilly was doing frontside ollies.
out the top of that.
Yeah.
It was upstairs, remember that?
Yeah,
And
there
they
was
had
roller skating downstairs.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
An old cinema that shut
Yeah.
down, they built, and they had almost had a fiberglass bowl built
Nearly.
Cam Wells has photos of it.
Nearly.
Okay.
And it was
Yeah.
the same, it was the same
Almost
guy
done.
that did
Yeah.
Manly.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was the same guy that did Manly because he was doing the Manly bowl inside.
Right,
It was the
okay.
same bowl made of
Right,
fiberglass.
okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's right. It was the same guy that built Manly, the Skate City Manly and Skate City.
Would make sense. Would totally make
Got
sense.
to kind of halfway and then it
just stopped.
Yeah.
Because
yeah,
that's
never
when skating just died in the
Yeah.
arse.
Yeah.
And you
When
couldn't
was
skate
hard.
it because it was not quite enough of a wrap of a bowl. You could. It was like in segments, wasn't it? It was like
Yeah.
orange
Yeah, yeah,
pieces,
yeah.
like that.
Yep.
That was like 81.
And it was not quite enough around. You can actually go in and skate it. They hadn't quite closed it off yet. There was still like 3 or 4
Yeah.
segments missing.
Otherwise, it'd be people in it.
1980 was when we
Totally, we
rode.
tried
Yeah.
to. We
Yeah.
tried to.
Yeah, I rode
80 that it-
1980.
Was it 80 that it opened?
Yeah, 80, 81.
Because
I
I,
rode-
skated
I
that
Richard
for a solid
81.
a year.
Yeah.
I skated that for a solid
Yeah.
year.
Yeah. So,
So skating died 81.
yep, pretty much, wasn't it?
What'd you do then?
Yeah.
I met him, and we used to go out to Melton, and we just skated and skated and skated,
Yep.
and we all
We
skated.
just find things to skate.
Yeah,
Yeah.
City
Like it was
Banks.
a curb or any. That
Yeah.
was when the parking garages started. Well, hang on.
was all- there was all that
It was
just-
then. There was
We
around.
just
then.
skated everything, man.
But Melton, we would up to about 84.
We'd hit Melton.
We
all
just
the
hit
time.
Melton all the
Till
time.
we got our
and
license.
we'd still, I think, we didn't really. I don't know if we hit Ringwood and those other parks much. We'd occasionally go to Nunawading and Ringwood.
We'd go to
and-
Doveton as well to go and skate
Yeah.
there because of the scene
That's
out there,
right.
because the
Yeah.
guys there built a ramp.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's right.
Dandy Dave and
That's about 85. Around
the
85.
guys out there, Juan, all those guys, they
That's
built a
right.
ramp in their backyard,
Okay.
and that had flat bottom.
This is in the sort of dead period.
So that's
Oh,
84.
completely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's.
This is later. This is later, but
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
81 onwards, it would have been like
81 till 85,
Yeah.
it was dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Completely
dead,
dead,
to
yeah.
the point of where surf, dive, and ski had 3 decks, 2 sets of trucks and 2 sets of wheels, and they had a
Yeah.
Caballero, a McGill, and a Hawk.
Yeah.
And it was the first Hawk, the Hawk with the eagle on it,
Okay,
or the
yeah.
Hawk with the Hawk on it, not the eagle. And you got the Caballero,
yeah.
I got the McGill,
Yep.
and Johnny got the Hawk. And that was the 3.
Out of stock.
Yeah.
Done.
That was it.
So you would ring up in the morning. I'd always ring up if I had money, which is unusual, to go and buy something. Have you got this? Yes, yes. Bang, straight there,
Straight
get
in,
it.
right,
Yeah,
grab
if you didn't go, like Rich
and
said,
you'd miss
it would
it.
be gone.
And that was in the days of when the mini cubes went red, the orangey red ones, because they had
Yeah,
them.
that was past me because
Yeah.
they were all green when.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. So like after all you guys died, there was a few of us that kept going, and then we'd all meet up. So me and Poz and all that were coming out from the eastern suburbs, like Bayswater, Baronia. There was the Morrison brothers. Remember those 2 guys? And we'd all catch the train into Spencer Street, and I'd met Tony already, and I think I'd met Mark at Skate City as well. And then they'd all come and we'd all meet at Spencer Street, and we'd
right.
all skate the platforms and
Yep.
and all that
You
jazz.
go off the end of the platforms where the
Like
the
acid
mail
drops
route was.
kind of stuff, or
No, there's still there's a mail route that goes right under the CBD now, and we used to get in that mail route. You just have to go off the end of the platforms at Spencer Street.
And you can just go in there, and it's all
Everybody?
underground
Yeah,
pathways.
oh wow!
Yeah,
Did not know that.
that's-
Does anybody know that?
Yeah,
But yeah, so we'd all meet up
Yeah,
there and then
yeah.
catch the.
Train
So
out
like we
well.
used to leave, like we'd be in the city by 6:30, wasn't it?
Oh, super early.
You know, and then we'd have to catch the Red Rattler out to Melton.
that's
That's why
right.
you skate so early, man.
The ticket was a $1, $1, zone 1 and 2 travel card with
Yep.
the blue and the little square thing.
Yeah. So that was $1 all the way out to Melton and back, and what was it, $2.50 to get in,
Yeah.
or something like that. And there was a guy there, Joe, running it at that stage, and then we'd buy a loaf of bread or fish and chips and a litre of milk each, and that was us for the day.
From the shopping centre next door.
Yeah,
yeah.
Because he would have like nothing
The
for you.
Coburns, the Woodgrove Bakery.
Yeah.
So each week we'd take it in turns, and Tony'd get his ruler out and measure. There's your half, there's my half, and we'd share it. You know,
like
have
Tony,
it in
is
a bread roll. And
That used to be hilarious. So and then-
Ration,
have a
skate
bread
ration.
roll all day.
Yeah.
but it was what was really
tap-
what was really good about those times is these are back in the days when if you saw someone on a skateboard,
Stop
you
the
either
bus.
knew who they were, or they were someone from interstate, because
Or you wanted to know them.
yeah, or you wanted to know.
if you're
You'd
on
get
a-
off a train and
That's
you'd,
right.
and
You
you'd chase
would
them down.
chase them to find out
You'd get off the
where
next
they were,
platform and go back
yeah.
and then go, right, who's that?
where they skated. We did that
But
on
what
buses
were other
many
people
times.
doing then? In the meantime, what was fashionable?
Getting on with
then?
life, I guess.
Nothing.
Not
Yeah.
skating.
BMX,
Wearing
music,
Fabergé
music.
jeans.
yeah,
Yeah.
right. yeah. Fighting,
Although,
fighting bogans.
in Clint's defence, we skated your ramp.
Yep.
You know, and that was towards the end of the dead era. like 84, 85.
Even
He
though
used to have
playing in
ramps. He used to
bands
have
by
ramps. He was
stage,
still
I had a
skating.
half pipe in the
Yeah.
back.
You
You had it at your
Boronia.
place,
Yeah.
did you, Clint?
Yeah.
Yeah, see, I never.
Because going back, that was quite a few years. We did the Don Lane show. There was a group that did the Don Lane show. If
Awesome.
anybody remembers the Don Lane show.
Yes.
And then that ramp went back to my place in Boronia. And
Yeah.
then that, I don't know where that ended up, that ramp. I can't remember.
See, and
Someone took it.
at that stage, that's when Poz had his as well.
Yeah, the pus
'Cause-
ramp.
Yeah, the sap ramp.
Yeah, that's right. The stuff ramp. Yeah.
Poz's ramp in his backyard was next to this stagnant swimming pool. And I remember on a hot day, we used to do massive flyouts, and on a hot day, Poz did a massive flyout into the stagnant pool. And he came
On
out,
purpose?
Yeah, and he came out looking like the creature from the Black Leather Lagoon. and his mum used to go mental. I think she ended up smashing it to bits.
The ramp.
Yeah.
Yeah, she did.
Yeah, and the
Yeah.
guy next door, if your board went over, because it was right next to the fence line, if your board went over, he'd take it and you wouldn't get your board back.
Asshole.
So there was Dave Ross
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Dave Ross, he was with us as well at that stage. But there was just a core group of us, and when we used to go to Melton, it was like this big adventure. None of us had our licence, in 82, 83.
What are we, like 15, 16-year-old kids,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
That's awesome.
14,
Yeah.
15, 16, just having a ball.
Yeah.
And pushing each other so much and chasing each other around the park. Like, it was hilarious. We used to just follow each other everywhere, and Tony pretty much always was the leader, and wherever he went, everyone followed.
Just like a train.
Just a train.
Yeah, yeah.
Down the half pipe.
And that-
Remember that? We used to hook down the half
was the
pipe.
beauty of
and
that
down
park.
Yeah, just
It was
everywhere.
endless
Yeah.
lines. You had like the half pipe that connected to a freestyle area, went into an upside down pyramid.
Yeah.
Then over here was a clover. Then there was a slalom run
Yeah.
over here
Yeah,
and a
the
snake
snake
run in
run.
between. It was endless. You could go all day.
Yeah, yeah. And, we
And
did.
not too crowded at that time.
Oh,
I was dead.
No
It
one
was just
around.
us. Just
Well,
Well,
Never
it
anyone
got to
there.
the point. It got to the point.
BMXs.
Yeah, it got to the point where, so we're saying like 83, it had shut down in about 82, didn't it?
Yeah.
Oh no, 83 it shut down because that's when we had that last comp.
That's right. It was this lady, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, 80, yeah.
Well, then there was a comp after that because there was a comp there. No, it was a shut down in about 86 because we had one comp there when Lee came over. Remember, and he did ice
Was it
plants.
still open?
Yeah, Lee was doing ice plants to Fakey and all that.
Okay.
And I remember that because he got fourth, I got fifth. Russell got third, you and Johnny. I'm pretty sure how it went. It was you and Johnny, and then Russell, then Lee, then me in that comp. But yeah, that was pretty funny. But the 83 comp was the memorable one because we had live bands, and that was unreal. And can you remember that, Mark, when the live bands played?
I didn't get out there. There was a comp out there, and none of us could get there from our side of town because the roads were flooded, and everyone from the eastern side got there, and it was dry because I live out there now, and it's dry there this morning. I could have skated this morning after about 10 o'clock. It just clears, but
It was 40 something.
but you
degrees.
guys got out there and skated on this.
Yeah.
I don't know if we were talking about the same contest.
83, definitely
Yeah.
83.
It was the 83
But there
comp.
was one comp they had out there where we couldn't get out there because it was raining and the roads were blocked.
Yeah.
It was
Must have
fun.
been that one then.
No, well,
And
that's the
you
same
guys got out
day.
there. and still-
The one we were talking about, it was like 42 or 43 degrees.
It's
remember?
always
Yeah,
hideously
yeah.
hot.
Just
Yeah,
if it was rained everywhere else, it wouldn't be raining
No.
at Melton.
No,
That's
really?
right.
Yeah, it was like
No.
one of those joints. It was
No.
an anomaly
Because it's so
like
far
that.
away.
It's,
Yeah.
it's, in,
Oh,
it's,
yeah.
it's in a
There's always
dry
melting
belt.
out
It's
there.
in a dry belt. Like
Yeah.
it's on a day if it's raining out here and I get up at 7:30 in the morning, I'll go and skate.
Because it's
I'll be
Yeah, 'cause
I'll
it'll
be
be dry.
skating.
But Johnny and Russell turned up that day for that comp
Yeah.
in their little Datsun with their boards on the top, like surfboards,
Yeah.
tied on. I remember that. He rocked up.
But
And,
that was-
and I've never seen Johnny skate before.
Johnny
He
Primate,
turned
we're
up,
talking about,
Johnny
Yeah.
McGrath, yeah. He turned up with this Alan Golfin board, short tail,
Yeah, the
him
tail
and Russell,
board.
and man, and they go, oh, Johnny's here. It's like, wow, good
No,
to see him skate. Because I met him in '79 at Skate City.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is my story, but I'm sort of giving some
Yeah,
background.
yeah, yeah,
then,
yeah.
then I saw Johnny. He turned up. I was like, okay, here he is. I haven't seen him for 2 years, and I know he's going to be. Oh, actually 4 years. He's going to be like ripping, and he was ripping, man.
That was the one. That was the
Didn't
comp
that-
before it. That was the comp
Yeah.
before the 83
Was it?
comp.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember that one too. And that might have been the. I reckon the 83 comp was when they had the live band
It could have been.
because Glenn Gusky was doing.
Maybe we didn't get to that one.
Yeah, there might have
I
been.
know
one.
I didn't get to that one.
Because I've got a trophy at home
Not
from
the-
one Melton comp that I won, and I've checked the date on it. It might be
That was when you had
Yeah.
the red caster deck.
Yeah.
And can you remember that one that he hung up on the backside air?
I think so. Yeah. Yes.
That's the
yes.
only time I've ever seen.
Yes.
It was a full lock. It was so shit.
Yeah, it was but it was like, rightio, you runs up and if you fall, you're out. And Tony's just gone in over the over the yellow line and just going, bang, just
On
full
the
noise
from the
into the
front
bottom.
side and into
Yeah,
a
the
ball
deep
in?
end, yeah.
Yeah, I rolled in, just like max speed, come off the high side, backside air up there, locked it.
and just ate
So
it.
alley-oop, was it backside air? Oh, no.
No, but
sorry,
going good
yeah,
because
yeah,
the front
Sorry,
I
you're
didn't have
goofy.
the front to grind on the line,
Yeah.
and then came up and aired there, and that was
yeah.
it. I locked up and just
Yeah.
straight to my back
Yeah.
on the flat. My mum screamed, and she left. She left me there. And then I was ready for my next run. After that, I was
yeah,
like,
yeah.
no, I've got to do
Take
this.
off that
man.
little oververt bit.
You don't
Yeah.
realise that.
I tried to hit that part. Yeah.
If you took a fall there, you were just going to face plant the other wall because you had no time.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
no flat.
There were so many times where you would just be like that and you'd go straight in the other side.
Oh, my.
You know, there was just you had no time.
It was hard to rain. It was hard to learn on. It really was.
Yeah.
It really was.
My
man.
gnarliest,
too, yeah?
Right,
my
really
gnarliest
was, yeah.
slam ever at Melton was I went in backside on the yellow line, came down and for some reason decided to do a layback air and went up and fully missed the top and just went about 8 foot out the top of it and did a full backward somersault and landed in the bottom of the half pipe on my neck. And I remember pausing all that, just coming over thinking I'm dead like this, and I'm in the bottom just laughing my head off because I couldn't believe I got away with it.
Yeah.
Remember just seeing my shoes go over my head, everything go like this.
Yeah.
And I just ate it so
It was
hard.
always a laugh, and then you okay?
Yeah.
What sort of
They still
tricks were
laugh
you
first.
doing back then, Rich?
Back then we were doing front side airs, backside airs, more like layback slides and Kiwi slides.
Yeah, cess slides.
Sort of
Rock
more
and roll
slides.
slides.
Yeah, rock and
Yeah.
roll slides.
Sweepers hadn't come in yet, really, had they?
No, we hadn't done sweepers yet.
Ollie?
Actually,
You guys
Lynn-
doing
Ollies, yeah.
Yeah,
Foot
Ollies.
plants?
Oh, yeah, front side foot plants.
And like
yeah,
ticks.
yeah, and backside foot
Front
plants.
side, backside.
Yeah, but
Oh, look,
no
that was
bonuses and
years.
all that. That
Backside were always
Companies
sketchy.
up,
No.
Back foot
because
clip on
because
the
none of us up until what 84 wasn't it when the Bones Brigade video show first came out.
Yep.
All we'd ever seen before that was, like the first Thrasher mags were newspapers.
Yeah, right.
And we'd get them like 6 months later if we were lucky. And you'd look at a photo like an eggplant. Remember looking at an eggplant and we're going, how the hell do they do that? Because we couldn't work out. We're going,
Because first of
yeah,
all,
but
you got to work out that he's not doing a regular hand plank. His board's backwards, and you know it's Lance Mountain, so it's got to be regular. And his front hand's down rather than his backhand down.
and
so
how
Were
How
there
do you-
sequences then?
Well, there was
Now
very,
and again.
very,
Yeah.
really rare though.
yeah,
if it was a trick like that, a
Yeah.
new trick, you would see like a 3-shot sequence. You see like the air part, the air part, the plant bit, and then the coming in bit. That's all you would get out of
Yeah.
it. Nothing much at all.
Yeah, so you had to sit
Yeah.
there just looking at the picture and just
Yeah.
you would just pour over the picture and go, how did he get
But
there?
remember how we
you
used to teach each other? We'd look at and then someone would get their hand and go like that in front of you, so you could actually see how it works.
To see the shot, yeah.
That's really cool. So that's like
we used to do. No, look at it now. Look, that's how.
Slower.
Hang
Okay,
on.
that's better.
See it? Yeah, that's how they do it. That's how it was. But like that was 6 months down the track, and
so a little bit behind from the States. Yeah.
yeah.
Oh,
miles-
way behind.
miles.
Way behind. Plus our terrain sucked. You
Yeah.
know, but their terrain was also getting filled in and closed down as well.
they were ahead of us in
So then
some
they were
way.
building ramps.
But that's where there was people ahead. But like that's where Johnny was ahead because he'd already been to the States.
Right.
Yeah.
We hadn't been to the States. I still haven't been to the States. So there was a few crew, and there's a few crew from New Zealand as well, like that had been to the States, and then you'd see them, and they were blazing stuff, and that's when, like, if you want to step forward from that point in time. Now we had so much fun. I've got to tell the one about the copper though, don't I? So they shut Melton down, and we'd jump it and skate it because what's the harm? And the cops came, full on cop cars, and I don't know whether you were there. I know Poz and that were. Anyway, and they're, you
Likely.
stop
Mark
skating,
would
you
have
stop
been,
skating, and I went right up the top, and I used to go in from the top of the half pipe.
Yep.
It was like a snake run into it, and then I'd go front side, and then just do these big backside
If
airs
you were
and travel
natural,
about,
it'd be a front side.
travel about 2.5 sections, maybe 3 sections of the pipe.
How far is that?
How far were they? 8 foot
2.5.
sections?
Yeah, they were long. Yeah, super long
So
sections.
about
Probably
8 foot,
8-foot blocks.
yeah, 8 foot blocks.
Yeah.
And I'd do
But it was a
these,
saw cut.
Yeah.
The saw
do
cuts were-
these big backside airs about 84, big backside airs right along. Anyway, this copper's there and she's standing, and there was about that much deck, like that much deck camera, right?
That was good. Thanks.
To the fence,
Yes.
very little.
Yeah, so
And,
imagine this, they're doing a rock and roll.
On the high
Doing a
side,
rock and roll,
front
and
trucks
the
till they
fence
go
is
over.
here.
and
The fence is right here.
worrying about
So
your board,
yeah.
your board hitting the fence virtually. And this copper's, she's jumped the fence and she's standing on the edge, and I've just come past and just gone past her face like that, and she's gone and fallen in.
Oh, what?
Yeah. And so we copped it off them, but they couldn't.
Did you get beaten?
No.
No clips
They
around the ears?
just, get here, you're not allowed to be in here and get out and all that. And we went, and went out and went to the bakery, came back and jumped the fence and kept skating.
Yeah, you just-
it was just stupid, the stuff that used to go on. One of the funniest things ever at Melton is we used to have jocks and socks sessions, remember them? And so everyone would just skate in their jocks and socks. And There was this one guy.
didn't.
There was this one guy that used to skate with us, Ringwood guys, and his name was Neil Blandon, not Neil Blender, but we used to think he was Neil Blender. And,
It was more of a band name.
yeah. And Neil was a real clown, and he was a fair bit older than all of us. He probably would have been 20 or 18 or 20 or whatever, and we were only 14 or whatever. And he used to always light farts. He couldn't help himself, right? And anyway,
He sounds like a classy guy.
so
I'd like to meet
he's
him.
there one night at the end of the session, and he goes, I got one like this, and he's gone, and it's gone. And it stuck his nylon jocks to his pubes because it melted his underwear.
How many times do you hear those stories about us young lads in our nylon PJs having sleepovers and going,
Yeah,
I'm in trouble?
doing the dumbest stuff.
I'm sure the Royal Children's Hospital's seen a lot of people.
Yeah.
Oh, I think so.
Nuts.
Yeah,
But
roasted nuts.
so there were so many funny things. But Melton was like that was the spot one. Like Tony had that in New Zealand with Skatopia and all that. And Melton was a turd compared to that joint, but music on top, Sex Pistols blast and whatever. And you go into the half pipe and blast an air, and you'd hear the music, and then you wouldn't hear it. Then you'd hear it again, and then you wouldn't hear it. It was just like unreal.
It was.
How long would your sessions go for at Melbourne?
All day.
All day, man.
All day, from 8 in the morning till 5 at night, and then catch a 6 o'clock.
And if you didn't get the train, if you missed the train because
That
you
was
were
it.
you were stuck there,
Yeah.
make your phone call to your parents.
Out with the tumbleweed.
Yeah, it was a whole
But you
day.
couldn't
It was,
have a
like, it was
microphone.
like get up at
nice.
So you carry a picture.
6:30, take off at 7:30. You probably get into town about 9. So we were out there for the park would open about 10 or something. We'd skate till it closed.
Awesome. Even
And
before
even on
that,
hot days,
Yeah.
on hot days we'd skate all day.
all day. Yeah, it was open
Yeah.
before 10. A lot of the time it was open before 10.
And we used to go there, and Joe would put on the rubbish music. We'd give him our Sex Pistols tapes or whatever, and he'd be like, "Yeah, I got my own music putting on today." And he'd put on the Beach Boys or some shit.
The class,
It was the worst stuff. And we were like, "Man, this is..." And we stopped going after that. Remember, we eventually just said we're not going anymore.
Because of his music.
But he wouldn't do the right thing. Like we were like,
he
there were
didn't.
half a dozen of us supporting the park, and he wouldn't let us put our music on,
and then
which
he
is
put
cool.
the sprinkler on
Put the sprinkler, yeah.
and wet the half pipe.
Drip into the half pipe.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
What an arsehole.
Yeah, he wasn't
Oh,
cool
don't
to us
worry.
at all, man. He didn't want us there. And then,
Pos made him pay tax for being an arsehole.
oh no, positive like everyone pay. Yeah.
What did Pos do?
Oh, what didn't Pos do? Yeah,
Well, that's another story. but
that's
anyway.
another story.
What
But,
have done Pos?
yeah, but they had really good pennies in there too, which some crew that had the money could play.
Yeah.
There was Buck Rogers and the Dark Knight. Remember that? And they'd
I had
go,
no money, mate. I was out skating.
Yeah, I'd
Eating
be
my
out
bread.
skating too,
Was it
but
Galaga was
every
there?
once in a while they'd come in. Yeah, Galaga and all that. But yeah, it was just like a big day out for us, and it was the best thing that we
Yeah.
had, at the time, wasn't it?
It was true adventure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was fun, and there was no like from the train station. This day the train station's on the same place.
It's
where the skate park was.
Coburn's Road.
Yeah, you have
Yeah.
to skate the whole distance to get to the skate park.
And the
the
first
road.
part we had to walk because it was all stone. And
Yeah,
then-
it was
25-minute skate, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was a long
25
way.
minute
20
skate
minutes,
from the
Yeah.
station.
And I imagine on those days where you were like ready to, you were
Getting
like
that
pushing
train
it
home.
right to the end.
Yeah,
That's right.
And
yeah.
then you could almost probably see it coming.
Oh,
The
God.
train, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and
That's
it's,
quite flat out there,
like 6 hours of skating, and then you've got to go
Your legs
back
would
up
be
there
knackered.
and push back up to there and catch a train.
And hopefully you didn't slam, so you weren't injured. You could get back there.
And then
If you-
skate
yeah.
home.
All that.
That's
Yeah, then
right,
get home
yeah.
from there, get
Yeah,
home
yeah,
safely. Get back to Spencer Street, and like you got to
Yeah.
get home again on your next train or your tram or whatever it is you got to get back to.
But that was the Melton days.
When we were talking the other night, you were talking about things that kind of inspired your skating, that kind of increased it incrementally. And was one
Yeah.
of the things you said was mum getting you the board,
Yeah.
which was a big thing.
Yeah, that was
Then you
huge.
talked about Bones Brigade videos.
Yeah, that was just like Pandora's box. So pretty much got the video. It was at Jason Pinkster's house. His brother's Ruben out of Seminole Rats, and I used to
Right.
skate with those guys. But also back in the Ringwood days, I got to forget to mention Darren Montague and Tony Mead also were through the Quiet Time, and Tony ripped the joint to pieces. And Darren,
He was rad, Tony.
Darren did too.
I still
but-
see him locally.
Yeah,
know,
he was
So
great.
they were all involved. And we used to go to ska bands and everyone would see each other out of the All-Nighters or the Looney Tunes or whatever all over the place. And you'd always bump into skaters. Anything that was a bit different, there would be skaters there that were the crew. So the Bones Brigade came out and I remember watching that and then seeing, before that I think I saw the McTwist in 84.
That would have been after, I reckon, because it wasn't
After the Bones Brigade?
First Bones Brigade didn't have that in it.
Oh, anyway, I remember seeing the McTwist because I don't think we got the Bones Brigade until later, like 80,
Yeah,
late
we
84.
got it later. It was very close
Yeah.
in time though. The first thing we would have seen though would have been Future of Freedom of Choice.
Oh, yeah, we saw
Devo.
that.
That's
yeah,
the first skateboarding we saw. Actually, skateboarders
Yeah.
moving.
Yeah. Apart from
Apart from Skateboard the movie with Leith Garrett in it.
No, that was even back then. I don't think we ever
70s,
got to
late
see that.
70s?
Nah, but he came to New Zealand. We saw it in New
That
Zealand.
was
Yeah.
way before because that.
Yeah, 78, I
Because I was
think.
on with Leif Garrett promoting skateboard movies.
It's my first.
yeah.
It's my first record I ever had with Leif Garrett. It's very sad. Yes, very sad.
Yeah.
Well, they put
He's
that
a bit of a
movie
sad
in.
individual now.
He's a bit
Sorry,
sad.
mate.
But there was so much stuff though that you didn't get to experience because there wasn't any connection.
Yeah.
And if you didn't get told about it, like we used to go, there was only one spot that at one stage sold Converse high tops, and that was in Clayton.
Yeah, we went there.
And we used to go there to get them.
That's right, we did. Stringers,
Dunlop
was
Volley
it?
high
Stringers?
Stringers, yeah, stringers. shoes.
Ken's. You guys don't know that. Evon's and Ken's. Yvonne Goolagong and Ken Rosewalls. That's what we used to call those runners.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, right,
Oh,
okay.
right.
Back
yeah.
in the day.
Yeah.
The high tops are
Yeah, the high
Ken
tops, Dunlop
Rosewalls, and
volleys.
you got low cuts, you were Yvonne
Evans.
Goolagong.
That's so funny.
Is that what they played tennis in?
Well, yeah, no,
Yeah,
yeah,
I do.
everyone
Dunlop,
used to
yeah.
skate them.
Yeah, I
That's
do
right.
remember
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Yeah, they didn't have much support. We used to get the Dunlop volleys out of Kmart and that. And the soles were pretty good, but try to imagine if you take a pair of Vans or whatever and you just rip the guts out of them.
Yeah, yeah. There's no support.
Yeah,
It's
that's,
close.
that's
Oh,
pretty
yeah.
much what they were. And
Yeah.
Luke Foster still wears them.
Some people ride them. Johnny McGrath still wears shoes with no inners in them at all.
Yeah, just so you
Really?
I
can
don't know how he
board.
does it, but
Yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, so that was unreal all that time. And then
So what did the Bones Brigade do to you?
I just opened up like, oh, that's how that trick's done. Oh, that's how they do that. Oh,
Right.
that's what that is.
So you got video.
Oh
not-
man,
Yeah.
it was mind blowing, and it wasn't
Yeah.
just footage stuff we were doing. It was stuff that we'd never seen
Seen,
before.
yeah.
Never
yeah.
seen almost. I'd say 90% of that video.
Yeah,
You've seen still shots in Thrasher, but to actually see it done
yeah,
Yep.
it was unreal. And so
and the
that was
speed and the height that these guys are flying.
yeah, and that was like 84, 84.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then so 84 and 85. So we went sort of in a next level after we saw that because we thought, right, we can do all this. We still had the really dodgy parks and all that. Poz had his half pipe in his backyard, so we had half pipes to ride, but nothing. They were still past, like they weren't good. And then pretty much you got 84. Then 85 is when pretty much it just started to kick off again towards the end of 85, wasn't it? And then the first thing that I can remember that really started skating taking off again was the Early Bird show. No, it was when the Hills brought Losey out at the show
Yeah.
in 86.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, so that was Melbourne show in 86. And that was mental, wasn't it? Like it had already started kicking off, skating again. And it cuts a lot of the other stuff out, but that's when it started to go. And then they're whacking money into it. And we had Morty Alec. We already had Morty, didn't we?
Johnny McGrath built that one. Yeah. That
so
was
we already had Morty.
It was our first proper public ramp that was wide and,
our-
steel, and it was
And
had
the
a
first,
channel.
the
great.
first prop, apart from the 1980 Moomba comp, the first proper comp that was the 86 Twisties comp at Moomba that the
Yeah.
Hills ran on the Veriflex ramp with the
Yeah.
PVC
I
coping.
went and saw
Yeah.
that.
And that was unreal, wasn't it? That was a week of really good fun skating.
fantastic.
And we had a ball.
You've still got a Twisties top at home too.
Yeah, I still got a Twisties
I got
top.
mine. Should have worn them today.
Yeah, I know. Well, my fat gut wouldn't fit into it anymore. But yeah, so there was Moomba, which is March in 1986, and skating was already taken off, and that's when the Voodoos were around and all that sort of jazz. And then Morty Alec was getting built, and so there was the same ramp was at a comp at Festival Hall when they brought that guy out that could just do frontside airs.
John.
John, yeah, on his skull skate. Was it a skull skate or something?
It'll come to me.
But anyway, so they had this comp at Festival Hall, and that was a bit clicky, and a lot of us couldn't get into practice and all this sort of jazz.
You know what? Though? I caught up with John a couple of years ago when I was there. He had such a good time here.
At a ball.
He loved it.
Yeah.
Loved
Well, he
coming
drove
here.
us around. We hung out. He had a
Yeah.
car, high car, and we drove us around. And
He had such a good time here, man. It was,
And that's when I
he
was
loved
working
it.
heaps. So
memories.
Yeah.
I was working 6 days a week, night shift
at
as
the
a baker.
bakery.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And so I missed a lot of that with Tony and all of those and a lot of the parties. And so I'd sort of show up and disappear because I had work to go do most of the time. But yeah, so there was 86 and then they had that, then they had Festival Hall, then they had Losey at the show. And you were hurt, weren't you? You'd had a bruised heel or something at one stage. You couldn't skate it, remember? Because I wanted
Which-
to at the show.
Probably just didn't want
And
to
I
skate.
and I anyway,
skate.
it was run by
On deck,
Big
were
N.
you, on, you were meant to be on deck with them?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And I
I remember seeing you skating there.
because I wanted to take your spot. I said I'll skate instead.
Yeah.
And then the Hills wouldn't let me skate because I didn't have an indemnity form or some bullshit excuse. But anyway, so I just stayed up on the platform with Steve Brown.
And I just drank Big M's probably. the
Yeah,
whole
and
time.
Steve Brown was
Multiple
another one
Big
at
M.
Ringwood too. There's too many people to remember. But anyway, Yeah, Tony was just drinking Big M's. I've actually got a photo of him drinking
Product
one.
placement.
Yeah, with his dyed hair.
What was your favourite flavour, Tony?
I was lactose intolerant. I was farting like crazy.
Yeah.
Nice.
So probably Jaffa was my favourite.
Nothing's
Yeah.
changed then?
No.
No.
It's
I've got him drinking a chocolate one, I think it is. But yeah, so that was that, and then skating just blew up. And at that time, I was working in the bakery doing my apprenticeship. But then during the day, I'd work at Ringwood Surf and Sail, putting boards together, and that's when we had Morty.
How did you know it blew up? Like,
Oh,
what was the
because-
first kind of thing that made you think it had blown up?
Kids everywhere with skateboards. And
product available again.
pro-
When you
product
see kids
available.
with T-shirts.
And that was all to do.
Right, okay.
I've got to say,
Yeah,
it was all to do with
clothing
the Hills really starting
everywhere.
to put time and effort in, with hardcore and all that jazz, and they all put time and effort in to get
promoting
it
it.
really getting going. Like there was always John Harron, but that
Didn't do a lot promotion wise.
yeah, but they
skateboarding.
did it, and they really pushed stuff.
Yeah.
And then so we were selling. I think like in November to December. In 1 year at Ringwood, we sold over $80,000 worth of skateboards
Whoa.
back in 86, 87.
It's
So
big numbers for us.
That's
crazy,
massive.
isn't
We
it?
were moving so much stuff, but it was just hilarious just how much stuff was getting moved. And
Yeah.
and then after that came Snake Pit and all that, but that was sort of like 88, 88, 89, wasn't it around the rent right at 89? And by that stage, I'd moved to Phillip Island in 86.
You moved in.
Yeah. But I still came and skated when I could, and pretty much
Then we had Torquay, right?
yeah, Torquay and the Morty days. Like the Morty days were incredible. The Morty Alex sessions were incredible.
Who would be there?
Who wouldn't be?
Right,
Yeah,
okay,
it's pretty
so
much
good.
how it was, wasn't it?
First there was that ramp in what's that other suburb right near Morty Alec had that little tiny ramp.
Bo Morris.
By Morris.
Yeah,
they had
Bo
a little
Morris.
little tiny ramp, 6 foot high, went to vert.
That had a big hole in it that I put in it.
Yeah, that's all right. Someone had to do
How
it.
did you do that, mate?
I did a foot plant
Right.
and plugged it,
Yeah.
put my board through the bottom.
So there were a couple of ramps there, and then the council must have realised we need something bigger.
Yeah.
Because you would go places,
That you can't
and all of
put
a
your foot
sudden,
through.
Yeah, exactly. Well, they also laid under the ply,
Yeah.
because the ply were right. Then she took the ply off. And I think initially they just laid it with stringers.
Yeah.
That was the surface, just like pine pieces across the entire ramp.
Yeah, right.
All the way down, and no top surface. So the whole way up and the whole way down.
Like having flat spots
Yeah,
on the wheels.
I think that's how they first built it, right? That's what it was like.
Yeah.
Then they laid ply on top. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I remember riding it like that, going, "Man, what are they doing?" And that was the first one. By Morris was the first one, and then Morty came.
Yeah,
not long after.
Council built stuff. But before that, there was a ramp at Noble Park that I think Simon's brother Dean and that had with the roll in.
Oh, in the backyard.
In the backyard. It was really,
Remember we
really
went there
big.
one time with
Yeah.
Clayton,
Yeah.
Did we?
and it was wet. And we said Joe 90 was Joe 90 lived
that's
there.
right, yes.
Joe 90 lived there, and
Yes.
we knocked on the window.
We didn't
and
skate it.
That was wet.
No,
They wouldn't
we
let us skate.
couldn't
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
And
yeah.
so somehow we found it. Somehow we found this.
And that was the same time as that they had the youth club.
And
ramp,
I
which was the
remember we
gnarliest
went
ramp
around
ever.
to what was where Stephen Peter Hill had their ramp.
In Kew.
In Kew, we went there. We couldn't skate either because that's why I got the two confused. But now I do remember we did go there.
We did, because
Yeah.
we had a ramp that we used to
Yeah.
skate in East Keilor.
Yeah.
And this guy Clayton, who was having a nightmare session at Melton one time, threw his helmet, hit me with it. And he's like, oh, and I was like, oh, sorry, man. I was like, oh, it's cool, whatever. We all have bad days. And anyway, he goes, and, we started talking a little bit. He goes, I'm building a ramp. Backyard. And that was the talk all the time. It was like, I'm building a ramp. Yeah, whatever, mate, no worries. And he goes, I'm building it. I'll give me your phone number. When it's done, I'm calling you. And like 6 months later, he called me out of the blue. I said, Mark, this guy that had the nightmare that time, he's got a ramp. He's going to pick me up. Let's go. So he picked us up from Faulkner. All the way.
Yeah, he
So he
did.
drove from East Keilor to Faulkner to take us to his ramp in East Keilor. We're like, oh, this is going to be great. Got there, was like, holy shit, this thing is amazing. This thing was amazing. It was, and we sessioned it for like a year.
That was effectively the end of Melton for us.
Yes, we didn't go anywhere
When
after
we
that.
was his
started
name?
skating that ramp,
Clayton
that was
Keith.
the end of Melton. Like Tony,
He's an
and I,
unknown guy, but he's-
that was it. And
what a
that was
ruler,
when Tony
honestly.
Tony moved to England.
Yep.
After that, but that was effectively the end of Melton for us.
So that ramp in East Keilor and the shit music in Melton.
That was it.
That's
Well, it was more the ramp, the fact that was way easier to skate.
That's right.
Yeah.
And it was a scene. It was a scene that was
That's
like,
right.
and these Brennan Walker and Clayton Keefe, those two guys, man, they just made skateboarding fun for us again. And
Yeah, that's
it was still dead.
and the same deal. Like, so that's the time, that's before Morty, wasn't it?
Yeah.
right?
Oh, this is 84. This is
I didn't,
84.
yeah, so I didn't even know about that. So in '84, there was Ben's ramp in Glen Waverley that was in between an apple orchard. It was a blue ramp. Do you ever skate that, Ching?
I mean, I was out of skating,
Yeah.
but I knew of it though.
So there was that. There was Poz's in his backyard.
Yep.
There was a quarter pipe on top of the Sandringham Yacht Club that BJ and Obi had.
Oh, I think we skated that.
Yeah.
I heard about it, but I never.
And yeah, so there was all these sort of little backyard ramps. I think Joe and his brother had a ramp as well.
Yeah.
At one stage.
This is the thing, though. You would go from where you lived, no matter how remote it was, to these places.
Yeah.
You'd only
That's
hear
right.
about it.
Yeah.
That's right.
And you spend half the day trying to find the bloody thing.
Yeah. But that was part
That
of
was
what...
the search, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that was the search.
yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
the thing with going to backyard ramps. I mean, when I was in America, same thing. You pull a car, it pulls up in front of someone else. All these guys get out of a pickup and you walk into this house, random house somewhere in suburban America, and you open, hi, can we come in? You know, the person who owned the ramp would let you all in through the lounge room, and mum and dad would be like sitting on the couch and like, hi, where are you from? Where from? And you go and walk, shake their hands, and I'm from Australia. Like, what? What are you doing here? That's what it was like. If building things.
Well, there was no council parks in '84.
No, there
so
was
everything
nothing.
was backyard.
Did you skate Boleyn though?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a turd. It still is.
It was.
What was
I absolutely
Boleyn?
loved it. I actually it was great fun.
Yeah.
Boleyn
What was
great. It's basically like it wasn't apparently never finished. It's a ramp, sorry, a little like a channel run. That go bank channel run that goes
Mini
around,
ramp,
goes
half
around a
pipe.
corner and finishes right there. Should
Not
have been a
anymore.
bowl.
They've
Yeah.
just recently, last few years, they've retrofitted.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like it. They could have just put a bowl and left it. They didn't have to. They put sleepers and like jersey barriers and stuff everywhere, and kind of makes a lot of the lip ungrindable
But
now.
I remember
but they
going there and
modernised
there was
it.
like 50 skaters there.
Yeah.
It was always a snake session there.
Yeah, but I
Yeah.
never liked it. And I remember going there one time and all the guys from Queensland and Sydney were there.
Yeah.
And remember Alan with the, he used to have a shaved, he was a punk, he had a shaved head with blonde and it was like leopard skin hairdo. And there was all these crew, right? And there was Toby from up in Queensland and a few other crew and they were at Boleyn. And I was just lapping up and hanging up everywhere at Boleyn. And they came to Ringwood the next day. And, I'm doing layback airs and they're going, what the hell happened to you last night?
right.
Because I can't ride. I'm shit at riding small stuff.
You said this. You're not a favourite of mini ramps.
No, I just like doing big airs and big tricks. Because the simple thing is I'm 6'3" and when I fall on something small, I slam so hard.
Yeah.
Go down so hard. So,
Yeah.
But not even that. It doesn't excite me. I've always been that I like doing shit big. And I don't know. I'd never ever done massive airs.
Talking
and that, but
talking
that's
about
just what I
big
like.
shit.
Big stuff.
Yeah. Tell me about skating Karaya.
Oh, Corio is awesome. Yeah, back in the day there was Melton and
That's
Corio.
big and it's shit.
Yeah.
So they're sort of the two
it's
together.
actually not shit, I don't reckon.
It's just rough.
It's just rough.
It's always been rough.
Yeah.
But yeah, pretty much so you're talking about the Bones Brigade. So the only spot that we could take what we saw the Bones Brigade was
That was our Del Mar.
so Corio. So yeah, we'd have sessions down at
Yeah.
Corio and
Trying to work shit out in that bowl, man, like the same thing they were doing.
oh god.
It was the only bowl that kind of had, you thought it was a
Yeah.
plausible channel you could make.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You
and-
couldn't, but
Well, I did.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
did 3 times, and then I ate shit, and that's the. I remember just looking at it, and there was Queensland, Ashmore, where the carpet joint is at Ashmore.
Yeah, that's right.
And then there was also Heidelberg, which most people
Well, that was
forget.
another size. I just
Heidelberg.
thought about West Heidelberg skate park
Yeah,
too.
yeah, and so there's so many things.
Yeah.
That,
What was West Heidelberg?
it was a
Capsule bowl,
a
keyhole,
keyhole, a clover,
bank.
and a bank section.
yeah, there was
Wow, that's quite a
4 separate
Yeah, yeah.
things.
Yeah.
And-
And it's just buried. If you go to Google Maps, I think I sent it to Aaron actually. A Google Map view of it, you can still
You see
see
the
the
divot.
capsule
Yeah,
layout
yeah, okay.
Yeah,
and the
but they
keyhole
never-
layout. It's just buried.
Worth digging up?
You'd have to render it. It was rough because the capsule was never finished. It was just like a rough finish
Oh,
to be
aggregate.
rendered, and they rendered the keyhole. The keyhole was kinked and horrible.
Yeah.
You'd be very
and it would
But the little Clover
have
thing
fit
was
inside
fun,
it.
though.
Clover was
Oh,
fun.
the clover
Little
was great,
clover.
but you always had to drain the water
You
out of
couldn't
it.
roll straight
Except
into
if
the
you had
deep
Edwards
end.
trucks,
It was
the
just
king would
so
hang up on the way
tight.
into
You'd have
the-
to carve around.
Oh, wow.
If you rolled straight into it,
Remember,
you would just
Edwards
face
trucks would
down.
hang up on the way into that
That's
deep
right.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because it was so tight. The keep in a
Yeah.
grind. Yeah,
Yeah.
the keep in a grind.
Yeah.
Wow.
This is the day. Like trucks today are so nice, but trucks back then, they were designed. They're designed since about 1981 to not hang up anywhere.
yeah.
And
Yeah,
before
that's right.
then, every truck would like lock up on everything.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, the kingpin would stick.
That's why you grab the tail
Yeah.
and come in the old ways to
Yeah,
grab the tail
yeah.
of
Yeah.
disaster
Pull
to come in on it.
Yeah, because you'd
The-
always hang
yeah.
on.
Yeah, before they're like the disaster,
No,
the rock and roll.
and sometimes the kingpin would stick above the hanger.
And that was
Yeah.
like,
It
but
was just-
Heidelberg was
Yeah.
like the biggest letdown I reckon that we ever had because
was, yeah.
it could
was-
have been the best thing that had ever happened, but
But
they
it wasn't.
fucked it and it just
No.
made it into unskateable.
No.
Just the finish of it?
yeah,
or the design
and just
of it?
both.
Everything.
It wasn't wide
Yeah.
enough.
It was
but-
supposed to be Big O.
yeah,
Basically, the Big O design.
Yep.
Yeah.
They had
Yep.
the clover. It was all out of scale.
yeah,
Yeah.
Basically, they could have gone like I don't know what they did with the scale.
when they've
it
gone
wasn't
from
1 to 1. That's for
feet
sure. They
We
must
haven't
have
got as
gone,
much money. Let's shrink it.
yeah, let's make a half
Yeah,
size.
they just shrunk
I
the
think
bowl.
Heidelberg was
Yeah.
open more than it was closed. We skated it more when it was closed than it was open. I used
Yeah.
to get my backpack on back before they had those fancy skate
Skateboard
backpacks where you
backpack.
could slide your board in and I'd stick my board on the inside and your back. You'd have scabs on your back by the time you got to the car. And I used to steal my uncle's hose. I'd cut bits off the hose and roll it up and put it in my backpack.
I thought you were going to say to make
siphon-
bongs then, yeah.
Well, you had to siphon the water out of the bowl if it was blocked. So you had to,
I remember
you
that.
know, just go like that and drain the bowl so you could skate. Like
Yeah.
probably, you know.
How did you drain the bowl out?
You just run the hose out, and
so
you
you had an open
and you
end
just run it
inside,
out.
yeah. But
Yeah.
no, so that was
Once you
that.
started off, it's
But-
done,
but
yeah.
going back to Corio, so Corio was skatable, and the channel's offset so that when you come into it, it's like angles like that, and it's really weird. But I remember going there after we watched the Bones Brigade video, and I also saw the sequence shot of the McTwist,
Yeah.
and I thought, right, it's game on. And if they can do that, rightio. And all I ever wanted to do was a canyon jump, and I'd been to North Ryde, I'd been to Queensland by that stage. Must have been 84 or something like that, 83, 84 anyway. And then I just remember going, right, I'm going to work it out. So I went, right, I'm going to pump it once and carve it once and then carve it again, and that should line me up for the hip. And I sussed that out a few times, and then I pushed like buggery and went over it and landed it, and then ate it. And then when I did it again, landed it and plugged it and rode out of it. And the only ones I've ever made, I've plugged and rode out of
Yeah.
because it's such a fall, it's such a drop.
It's
Like,
such a wide.
yeah.
It's really wide.
The angles
Yeah.
don't work.
But the angles don't work, so the only way is to pull out and virtually aim for
Plug
the.
it.
So
for
today's
the plug.
skaters could do it easy. They could ollie across it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No worries. I think it's
yeah.
been done a number of times. Apparently, Davo was the guy that could do it.
boneless. They
But
just-
it's
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, boost in, yeah.
but it's got that weird transition, hasn't it? Like up at the kind of like you go 3/4 of the way up and then it kind of kicks.
Oh
a
no,
bit,
the training
doesn't
starts
it?
at the.
Yeah.
The training
It didn't
starts
quite
at the
go to
drain.
vert
Yeah.
either.
It's like a
doesn't.
backyard pool
No,
style.
no,
It doesn't
no.
quite go to vert.
So yeah, so
No,
it's
it's
pretty.
horrible.
And the channel's a fair bit down, isn't it, into the bowl?
Oh, it goes right down. It's a proper
Yeah,
channel.
that's right.
It's
So
a
you
proper
can't really
Proper old
pump.
school, yeah.
Yeah, proper rolling channel.
No.
But
That's it. That's it right there.
Yeah.
That's the
Right.
one we're talking about.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
it.
That's
Yeah.
it.
There's the McGill.
And that little blonde kid sitting on the hip there is my proof in the pudding that I actually made it.
Wow.
That's Jimmy Loxon.
Jimmy Loxon.
Yeah, who built the park and from down at Torquay, and he goes, I remember that. I was telling someone, and they're going, bullshit, big ears, you're telling us stories, and he goes, I was there, I saw him do it.
It looks so big.
Yeah,
Look how big it is.
yeah, and that's
I
shot.
thought
with
you
a-
always did it frontside.
No, backside, and I shot that with a 110. But that's my McGill that I got from Surf Dive, and look at the tail on it.
Yeah, it should be square.
Yeah, you've
that's
killed it.
that's how low down it is.
Yeah.
So I've got
That's a fair effort.
Aussie wheels and Aussie trucks on that, and yeah, and them are
That's a fair effort.
they Mad Rats or Rectors? No, they're Mad Rats.
They're Mad Rats.
Yeah, they're Mad
They're the
Rats.
second run, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks, Aaron.
Yeah, and it's a long way. It's a long way.
That's a
across.
long way.
It's like yeah. So, and then I had a go at that at the Bowl of Drama, and I hadn't been in that bowl since 1987. And someone
Wow.
pulled come on, Big Ears, show us if you can do the canyon jump. And I thought, oh well, I'll have another go. And I got straight over it the first time I bloody tried, but I didn't roll out of it. But I scared myself.
Yeah, I
because
bet.
I'd made it across it so easily, and I went fuck. And then I did it again and again, and then I landed on my knee pad and broke that finger.
Did you do that at Bowl of Drama?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. So, yeah. So that, it's just, I love Corio.
Yeah.
I still do.
It's fun. Yeah.
We used to come down from Ballarat and we'd catch a train down and spend all day down there.
But you got to
Probably
ride
after
it
you
on
guys.
soft wheels.
Yeah. Oh,
And
yeah.
it's-
Especially now.
And it's like I went to it, and the first run I had in it, I went, I remember you. And it had been 30 years.
yeah.
Nearly 30 years, because that was March. And the last time I'd skated it was in 87 when Nicky Wood won bells, because I remember skating that, and that's when the pros came out at Easter, that 87 Easter comp.
Tell us about that.
mental.
Did you go to that?
Oh,
Go
yeah.
down, you down Torquay?
Yeah, so Tony and I went to Hardcore, and this is a classic story too. Tony and I went to Hardcore, and Rip Gill asked us to pick up all this stuff to put in the shop for the weekend, so we did that. And then on our way, we're driving along Banana Alley, and we've got like Dead Kennedys playing in McKingswood, and we've got like Fruits of the Forest, big bag of mixed lollies, and we're eating that, and
You guys are hardcore.
yeah, and drinking.
You guys are off your heels. High on sugar, you boys are.
Drinking our big M's.
Crazy, you guys are loco.
So we're driving along. So we're going from
Sugar Russian.
We've gone up Nicholson Street, down to Flinders Street and along, and we're at Banana Alley. We got the DKs blasting or something on the old Pioneer stereo, you know, and back full of skateboards and wheels and shit. And this BMW convertible pulls up beside us at the lights just before you go up over the hump there, just past Banana Alley. And they pull up, and there's this chick and her mum in a Mercedes convertible or a BM convertible, and they're like this, and they go like this, and I go to Tony, watch this, and I grab a handful of them. We're stuck at the lights, and I've grabbed that, and I've grabbed my big M and had a skull like that, and I've gone like this, and I've whammed my window down. I've just gone all over the bonnet of their car and their windscreen. And then it's gone green, and we've just driven off. And we had stitches past, way past the Westgate. Like we were crying with laughter. Yeah. But as we drove off and we've gone up over the hill, we're looking in the rear vision mirror. They're just sitting there. And they did not move. They just were fully stunned. So yeah, so that was awesome.
This is on the way to Torquay.
Yeah, for the Easter comp.
It's not unusual.
Yeah,
Just a usual day.
It's a normal kind of day.
We used to do a lot of things where we'd run amok, but without doing too much damage.
Yeah.
Didn't we?
Sensible craziness.
Yeah.
It's okay. Yeah.
You know, and like
Not hurting people.
Food fights and custard tart fights and all sorts of stuff. It used to be grouse fun. But and then we got down to Torquay, and it was on, wasn't it? Like the sessions were just
Without those guys, the pros coming over, and like, the sessions were fantastic.
Yeah.
First big ramp. You know.
How long had it been?
Really
how long had
well
it been
made
there
ramp.
before
6 months.
pros came?
Yeah, probably. And then Gons turns up.
So it was out the back.
Yeah.
Out the back of Rip Gill, not
So
out
Mark
in the paddock.
Gonzalez turns up with Lee.
Yep.
Lee Ralph.
Yeah.
And we know Gons as a street skater.
Yeah, of course.
He was amazing on vert.
Yeah, he's amazing.
Better than anybody here
Yeah, he's incredible.
at the time.
Yeah.
So amazing.
Lofty.
And
Yeah.
tricks.
And he was here for months before they turned up. So he just came to surf and hang in Torquay, and he was just there as one of the guys, and
Yeah.
often you'd just session with him.
Because a lot of people got
That's cool.
a lot of people got the first time the pros came out at Easter '87
Yeah.
mixed up with the ramp riot, which was in November '87, and then the second ramp riot was later on.
88.
But but the first one's the one that Lee won, wasn't it? The first ramp riot, was that when Craig
Yes.
Johnson came? No,
Yeah.
no. Second
Yeah.
one was when Lee won.
Lee won
No,
the first one.
Oh, the first one, yeah.
Yeah, when the ramp was like,
Moved out into the paddock.
it was the other guys came.
Yeah,
Dan-
yeah,
That's
yeah,
right.
that's
Yeah.
right.
Gibson,
Yeah, that's
Ray
right.
Johnson,
So
Maury.
and I
Good
missed that.
downforce.
I missed that, but the Easter comp or the Easter demo, I remember standing there. I reckon I missed half of it because I just couldn't believe what I was seeing.
Well, who is there? You had Tony Hawk, Lance,
Phillips,
Stedham,
Phillips.
Jeff Phillips,
yeah,
Miller.
Losey,
Soy,
yeah,
Gons.
Roscop.
yeah, Roscop,
Scott,
Yeah, Rob Roscop. he was there.
Grosso.
No,
not Grosso.
He came for the comp. Oh, he came for the second demo.
Gator and
Gator.
Gator.
Gator was there, yeah.
Oh God,
Christian Hosoi came out.
yeah, he was unreal. He was there at every one of them, wasn't he?
Yeah,
Virtually, I think.
yeah.
But yeah, it's just like absolutely
amazing.
So virtually that's the first time, apart from Losey at the show, who was unbelievable. Like Alan was unreal, how good he was
Yeah.
and how solid he was. But that was the first time that we got to see the stuff on the Bones Brigade video right in front of us.
Oh,
but
yeah.
all of us got to see it at once, didn't we? Like everyone was standing
It
there
was
just
amazing.
going,
And it was live, and it was new stuff.
and it was full on.
I was on the roof.
Yeah,
Cousy.
Yeah. I was
Okay.
watching it on the roof lap.
yeah. And,
I don't even know how it got there. I don't even know if Mum.
No
drove
one
me
cared.
down
You went where
or-
you liked. Right? Just back then, there was no one telling you to get down from anywhere. You just did
No.
it.
Yeah. No, but I don't know how I actually got there on the day.
Right.
Like,
Oh,
I don't remember.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't remember
Transported
someone.
there.
Wouldn't have been a train. That's for sure.
I just remember someone saying, "Hey, this thing's on," but we must have gone. I just don't
It
know.
was-
It was
it
fucking one of the most awesome.
It
things.
was
yeah,
there.
incredible,
That was, to me, that was the biggest day ever in Australian skateboarding history, without a doubt. I call that the biggest day that ever happened in Australian skateboarding history because of how intense and how rad it was and how full on they were going.
Significance of it, man.
Yeah,
It's just
yeah.
amazing.
Most
Because those
of
guys
the-
hadn't been here before.
And most
as
of
well.
the pros reference that all the time too. That
Yeah.
they're talking.
Yeah,
Like,
right.
It was just, and that's when it had already started to explode, but then that just sent it through the roof.
Yeah.
Like that was just explosion. And then,
Got the board from Mum. We've got the Bones Brigade video.
Yeah.
We've got Losi. We've got this.
Yeah.
It's building
Yeah.
for you personally. Like,
And they inspired every single person there that day, man.
And I'm going,
No
this
doubt.
is so rad, and this is so rad. And then I got a set of double kneecap Pro Designs.
Yeah.
And Danny Van got the other set.
there's a picture somewhere
Right.
we've got of them.
And
yeah.
I'm thinking, how good's this? And then I did a frontside Frigidaire at Torquay ramp, about 4 foot out. And as I came in, my knee pads hooked my elbow pad, and I dislocated my knee totally. And that was the end of my skateboarding.
Oh, the son's laughing over
so-
here. I don't think it's his fun.
People go, I'm an AFL football player and he's going to be out for 6 weeks or 6 months because he's moved his kneecap. My leg was like that. It was like that.
What did you do?
I went, fuck, like that. and my mate Steve Brown got me and I put my arms in behind the fence like that. And he grabbed my leg and he pulled it out and he shoved it back in. And then Zach goes, "You'll be right, big ears," like this. And my
Toughen
leg,
up, princess.
my leg looked like a football
Oh, just swollen.
underneath
yeah.
it. It was black and it was like a footy, and hence that's pretty much when I stopped skating properly
Good reason.
because it was smashed to bits, and I kept it like that for about a year and a half before I could afford to get it operated on, and then I got all carbon fibre bits put in and staples and all that to
Like
put all my
Terminator.
ligaments. Yeah, put my ligaments back together.
That's a-
on his leg.
Yeah,
It's a savage injury.
yeah, it was full on.
And unfortunate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
Oh, of
getting-
course.
just getting stuck.
Because we were just going like through the roof, hey, like at that
Yeah.
stage, like
So
everyone.
true, man. Yeah.
And that's where, then I just stayed down at Phillip Island because I was already living there. But then I just stayed down at the island, and that's when everybody just went leapfrogging.
Yep.
Like so, Chris Payne came through, and Gary
yeah,
and
yeah.
Bruce and all of those, Harry the Bastard and all those guys that we
Yeah.
were sessioning Morty Alec with all
Yeah.
the time. That was the end of me, and they just went boom, 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 and I just went off into surfing and the bakery. I used to have a special brace I got made up, like which is those CTI braces now, but back then I got a special one made up.
Yeah, it would have been like space physics.
Yeah, and I used to
back then.
surf with that. But yeah, skating, I'd skate here and there, and there's a few shots at Vermont. And then you got all the Vermont boys like, Luke Foster and Justin and
Justin McItis, Brad Drury.
Brad Drury and all of those guys, and they were the 4 years younger than me.
Mm-hmm.
So they were that gap underneath.
Yeah.
So there was like Clint and all that were the 4 or 5 years older than me. Then there was us guys.
Mm-hmm. He's
and
got a
then
great
there
moisturiser, hasn't he? This guy. He wouldn't know.
was-
he's
Yeah, no,
that
you wouldn't
old,
know.
would you?
He's got the fountain of youth.
He does.
No, but then
jeans.
underneath them was all the Vermont guys and Gary Valentine and all of those guys, and Chris Payne, and all those, and they just went boom, 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 and Paran got built. When
okay.
Paran get built, 90.
I was 89,
89,
I think, yeah.
89, yeah.
Yeah.
So 87, then 89 Paran got built. My first kids were 94.
Best day of his life, apart from when the pros came.
Yeah.
Apart from when the pros came.
Yeah. But yeah, so I disappeared into children and living at Phillip Island, surfing and working my ass off in
Working
the bakery.
crazy hours as a baker.
Yeah.
And we missed him. We missed him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
No
the
doubt,
first time that it all, I had stuff go down and I'd broke my back in a motorbike accident racing.
Jeepers.
And me and the boys did a lot of motorbike riding when they were
Yeah.
younger and stuff, and got divorced, kept motorbike racing with the kids. I broke my back, and that's pretty much what caused part of the divorce.
Right.
On top of what else is wrong with me, but then and then in 2003, 2005, 2005 there was a Moss Jam at Point Cook.
Yep.
And we were riding at Rye because the kids wanted to go for a skate. We were riding the cradle at Rye, saw that and went right, and we had the combi, and we went right, let's go, and we camped in the near the car park at Point Cook. Got up, skated the next day. Hadn't seen anyone for years, and I'd seen Tony around in the city here and there riding his skateboard through, and caught up with a few people here and there. But that was the first time I'd seen everyone again, and it was on. It was really good fun.
What was it like to see people that you hadn't seen for a long time?
Oh, awesome! But like I'd only seen him yesterday.
That's cool.
Yeah,
Isn't
it's
it?
the same deal,
it's
isn't
always-
it?
It's pretty
Yeah.
much,
Yeah.
yeah. You haven't
Because-
seen someone for 35 years.
And
You see him, you go, hey.
And,
Yeah.
and especially because of that prime time of your life when you are 11 to 17, 18.
Yeah.
they were your crew.
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like you were, everyone was sort of like, you know, that was it. So once you've made that bond at that time of your life, you never lose it. I don't believe. Like, but skateboarding's like that in general. You can meet a
it is,
skater,
isn't it?
anyone, and,
That's
and
right.
Anywhere in the world.
you meet
it's
them
the
once, and you'll
Yeah.
meet up with them again, and they'll always open their house, their arms, or whatever.
That's
you know.
right, yeah.
And there's very few people that are in that bunch of people that have
Yeah.
been around forever that are peanuts. And everyone's generous, and everyone like the day I broke my leg at Point Cook, which is where we were getting to.
That was full on.
So we skated all
Yeah.
day, and I've gone around and I was trying heaps of shit, and I was
not unusual for you.
So a good comeback then.
yeah, but
All at once.
yeah, but I was on it, you know, and I'm having a ball, and I'm going right. I know I've broken my back, and I know I got told I'm going to be in a wheelchair if I ever land on my spine again, and I wasn't meant to walk anyway after I broke my back and all this, which was in 2003. So I got that all in my head, and I got my kids there as well, and Casper was only about 4 at the time, and you know, so he was my youngest, and I remember just like, and anyway, the comp started, and I'm hooking around doing a run. And I've gone, I think, onto the tombstone bit, and then come down, and I've done a big like Kiwi slide, and I've come in really fast and done the slide and got a bit behind my board and thought, I better step off this. And as I stepped, my board twisted and my foot hit the side wall, and my sneaker went like that, and my bones went straight through my leg like that. And I'm laying in the bottom, and I've gone, oh fuck, I just broke my leg, and they're going, bullshit, big ears, get out of the bowl.
Yeah.
You know, like this, and I've lifted my leg up and gone like that, and blood squirting. And so it was on.
It was gnarly.
It was on, and it took them ages to get me out, didn't it?
Yeah, we had to carry you out of there.
Yeah, yeah. But
And the main
anyway,
concern was the kids, though.
this
course.
is where I say mateship. So without me even having to say, do, or think anything, Tony's just taken control of my kids that he's only just met that day.
Yeah.
So Tony and Tracy,
Yeah.
right, have just gone, don't worry about it, we got the kids.
Did you have kids at that time, Tony? Yeah,
No,
no kids. No, okay, right.
2003, right? So yeah.
Yeah. 2005.
Yeah, so I was born 2 years later.
Yeah, so Tony's, and so Tony's taken, and Oliver's always been he's like me a bit, he's just the frontline soldier, so Oliver's gone into, you know, protect mode.
Right.
Got under my mum and dad came out, picked the car up. Tony's got the kids while I've gone in the ambulance. Mum and dad have come and picked up my car and my kids, and you know, and then, you know, you're too old to do this shit, and I'm getting the ass kicked.
How old were you when
know.
they said that?
Oh, that's 2005, so I was, what's that, 30, no, nearly 40.
Yeah. That's not old, mate.
That's not old.
Yeah, nearly.
40's the new 20 or something like that, isn't it?
Skate pads in it, remember?
Oh, yeah.
After you got out of hospital and they'd been sitting in the sun with Dad's skate pads for like 3 weeks.
With blood in them and all.
Blood and everything, and it looked just like there was a dead body in there. It was rank.
But
Extra smelly.
But so this is the fun part. So I get to hospital, and this is one of the classic stories, one of my favourite things that's ever happened. So I get into Royal Melbourne. What have you done to yourself? Oh, I reckon I've spiral broke my tibia and spiral broke my fibia. And she goes, oh, what are you, a doctor? This is an emergency nurse. And I go, no. I said, I watched it happen right in front of my face. Like, I watched my leg go like that. Oh, she goes, and how did you do that? I said, oh, riding a skateboard. And she goes, oh, that's good. At least it's not a drug overdose or a knife stabbing or something like that. And she gets my leg and she
That
goes...
can cause legs breaks.
Yeah. She goes like this. She goes, so you're pretty tough, are you? I said, yeah, fairly tough. And she goes, what do you think about that? And I go, yeah, not too bad. And she goes, what about that? And I go, no, that's okay. And she goes, what about that? And I go, no, that's okay. And she goes, and what about this? And she's gone like that. And I've gone, like this. And she goes, not so tough, eh? And I said, no, I'm not. So
What a mess. What's she doing that to you?
so she goes,
Was
off.
she actually a nurse, or was she just like some weird
And she goes to me,
She'd had a bad shift.
no, she goes to me, she goes, I'm a base jumper. She goes, I know you extreme guys can handle heaps of pain, and she's laughing at me. And I just went, oh yeah, like this, and it's cutting it short. They went off, got the x-rays, come back, exactly 5-inch spiral break on that, 7-inch spiral break on that, compound on the tibia. She goes, bloody hell, you know, you've nailed it exactly. I said, yeah, like this. So I had to go in for an operation, and they've put me under, and she's in the thing, and they've gone, she goes, rightio, now this is the gas, see if you can count back from 7, like this, and puts the mask on me, and she goes, ta-das, have fun, like this. And I'm going, you bitch, I'm going to get you back. I go, 10, 9, 8, like that. And she jumped back so far, and she shit herself. And I went under, and 3 hours later I've come up, and the first thing I said to her, I said,
Your foot was on backwards.
I said,
you back, yeah.
you're scared like this. So that was one of
That's
the
so
classic
funny,
moments. Yeah. And then, so I've had a metal rod from my knee to my ankle ever since then.
Was that the same leg that you dislocated
yeah, the
as
knee.
well?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
well, at least you only broke. You didn't kept wrecking the same
Yeah,
one.
the
which is
right
nice.
hand side, my
back
arm,
on,
everything. Yeah, except for
Yeah.
that. That's the only thing I've done on my left hand
Yeah.
side, but it helps you pick your nose now. It's got a good angle on it.
So, few injuries
Yeah,
in skating
Yeah.
to be expected. Yeah.
yeah, totally.
What's your skating been since then?
Well, pretty much, I skated that Moss Jam at Point Cook. Then I missed the next year's one, which was at
Ring of Fire?
it was at Northcote with the
That was the first one for me to come
Yeah.
back to.
So, well,
I didn't skate, but I watched.
Yeah, that
but
was-
that's when a lot of the Sydney guys came down for that.
yeah. So then they had Northcote, but then after that they had Frankston,
Yep.
which was, and so that was like 2007
Yeah, okay.
first Frankston one.
That's exactly right. No, that's
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember
And so-
2008 because Oscar was born
And
that
that was
year, and he was little. 2008, I reckon.
First two at Frankston. There was
2007 is the
2008,
first Frankston one because I got a sticker.
Okay.
Frango Banger 2007. And me being me, like I've hardly skated, but I just get amped up and I don't know how to
You're
hold back.
gonna
do I?
stretch.
It's a
You're gonna
social
warm up,
experiment.
Rich.
No. Put the music on, off you go.
Fuck it, and go on the channel.
The better the music, the harder I go, isn't it? Like, but that's how I've always skated, and that's pretty much how I've done everything in life. I don't do anything by little bits. I always just charge into
Put him in
whatever.
an air ambulance after that competition.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I thought he was never coming back again.
yeah. No, that's a whole nother story. So with what?
So we've got a little bit of time. Keep going.
Yeah, so like for 20 years I've had a nerve and muscle condition, and for
Are you
18
cool to talk
yeah,
about that?
Yeah. For 18 years of that, they didn't know what it was. Pretty much overall, I've been pronounced clinically dead 9 times from seizures. I've had around about airlifts and mica, get even to the point where I can't be airlifted in the mica van because they won't airlift me, around about 18 hospital admissions. And it turns out after 18 years of you getting told that it's this or it's that and that we don't know what it is or whatever, turns out to be Lyme disease, which is pretty full on. The hardest thing about it is my children and still how it has affected their lives and how it affects them even till today. It's a thing that I look fine to everybody, but my it's become autoimmune and all my nerves are damaged and I have muscular seizures and they can be pretty full on to the point of the longest time that I've seized for has been 36 hours non-stop, where everything contorts and I convulse. I've been stuck at home a few times by myself when it's happened.
That's scary.
But the hardest part's my kids having to put me in being a single parent
Yeah.
and having my kids put me on a in the ambulance on a stretcher.
I think especially things like fits can be quite distressing to watch.
Massive, yeah.
Very,
and
very
they're
distressing.
they're different to epileptic fits because epileptic fits is from your brain,
Yeah.
and you can't control it. But mine are muscular contortion seizures. So you can imagine the gnarliest cramps you've ever had in your life, and throw in uncontrollable convulsions.
Yeah.
And you get to a point where your body flatlines because it's that exhausted from
okay.
fighting
So
itself.
it needs to do something to
Yeah,
stop.
and I dislocate my pelvis, rip my hamstrings. I have to learn to walk again. Or believe it or not, I have to learn to talk again,
Yeah,
which is
wow,
pretty hard to
okay.
believe. But through all of that, my kids have been unbelievable support, and without them beside my side, I don't know whether I would have been able to cope like I have. I've been very lucky that I don't suffer from depression, and I very rarely drink. I don't touch drugs. I've just kept my head as clear, and I've treated everything that's gone on wrong with that. I've treated like skating or surfing, because it's an individual sport, and what those sports teach you is you have to do it. It's up to you to get your ass out of the bottom of the bowl. If you've hit the reef surfing in the barrel, the only way you're going to come out of that barrel is to think you're going to hit the reef again, and one time you'll come out and you won't. So everything you're doing, you've got to adjust and learn and change to suit the situation. And hence saying, like, I've been to plenty of moss jams where I've skated my ass off because I can't help myself, and I'll have a window but then I'll go home and my body will go, "You've done too much," and it'll start season. And then Matt Wilson, he's in the chopper, he's the Mica pilot, and he's put me in quite a few times where he's lost me actually in the helicopter,
Yeah, right.
flying to hospital, and he's told me that after the situation. And then people don't get it, that I can be like that, not walking, and then a week and a half later I'm back skating
Yeah.
again, or back up getting the kids to school, or whatever I've got to do. And my parents have been, they help me out a lot. But the majority of it's been my kids,
Yeah.
and I've got a few good mates that have stuck by me, and like Sack, is unreal. He'll send me messages all the time to see that I'm all right and check in on me. And when I
Zach
catch up-
sending you messages?
yeah. No, you've turned into an old mole sack. but we love you. We'll get him a nurse's outfit. He'll look good in it, I reckon, with his teeth missing.
He's a softie on the inside.
He's lovely.
Yeah.
It's quite a difficult thing, I think, for a lot of people in general public to understand about Lyme's disease.
Yeah.
And I think it must be very frustrating for such a long time to have these incredible kind of physical problems, attacks that kind of stop you from living your life.
Yeah.
And then, like you said, all of a sudden, you have a period where it's okay, and that's sort of like it must just do your head in.
Oh, it's really difficult. Yeah.
Not knowing when it's going to be okay and when it's not.
But even the okay is what most people would call nightmare. So I've learnt over the years, your body adjusts. It's funny, like as skateboarders, we all know we've got injuries that until we talk about them, we don't know they're there because we just get used to them. And it's the same sort of mentality, but you just build up this thing, and you don't go around trying to pretend or whatever. You just get used to what's going on. Like if you're doing a 12-hour day, people go, "Oh, how can you do that?" But if you're doing it, you just do it. You know what I mean? It's you just get used to what your life is.
Pretty
And
full-on tolerance to build up, though.
Yeah, but you do, and you've got to learn. It's the same deal. You've got to learn, and that's what skating really does teach you, is that, you're going to get hurt, but you're going to get hurt. But at the end of the day, you want to get that trick, right? It's the same deal. Like, I'll get there, and I'll be laying in bed, and I can't even lift my legs up to crawl to the toilet. Like after I had these 36 hours of seizures, all I needed to do was go to the toilet. So I finally rolled out of bed, crawled on my elbows to the fridge, tipped the milk on the floor, pissed in the milk container, right? And then I couldn't get to my phone because it was up on the bench and it was flat anyway. And then I crawled back to bed, dragged myself back into bed, and then seized for another 16 hours. And then Darren Lacey rolled up and knocked on my window, and here I am in bed, and he's got me out of bed and got things sorted. It's just unbelievable.
Good on you, Big Daz.
Yeah,
totally,
but
man.
and that's when Big Daz, because I lived across the road from him on the island at one stage, and he'd always check on me.
Yeah.
So I've always had these really beautiful people that have always been there, and that's a really good thing to know. That you've got a backstop like that, and you don't.
And the kids as well.
And the kids, and that's the thing.
Those
like,
kids are awesome, man.
I ran into his dad yesterday.
into Daz's dad.
Yep.
Classic. But it's unbelievable. Just that's what I mean. Like, so you've got this group of people. Like I know, for instance, like if I ever got into trouble, I know I could ring Mark and Tony, right? Mark and Tony, because of what we did when we were growing up in that, and I could say, shit, hey Zerafa, I'm stuck out in the middle of Melton.
Yeah.
It's desolate out here. There's nothing
Bad
out
luck,
here.
mate.
But I've missed the last train. Come and get me. You know what I mean? Like.
Good luck, you're in Melton South.
But you know what I mean. Like we could all ring each other, and at any time we drop stuff for each
100%,
other,
man, yeah.
and take on each other's families. Like,
What do you know? Because I think it's a good educational opportunity to say to people about Lyme's disease. What works for you
yeah.
to keep yourself well as far as
Okay,
staying
so
healthy?
well, the most important thing, your body can do whatever your body does, but I personally believe it's your mind that's the most important thing to keep healthy. And so, if you've got any kind of chronic illness of any description, or depression or anxiety or anything like that, the most important thing that you need to learn to do is to step away from yourself and observe yourself from an outsider. And people go, "Oh, you're full of shit. You can't do that." Well, you can do that. And like people say, "Oh, when you die and all that, you see a light and all that." Well, yeah, you do. Right? You don't see a light. What you're doing is your oxygen levels are going, and you're getting all these bright stuff in front of your face and all that.
Sounds like
jazz.
you know about that.
Yeah.
You've
So
done it a
you,
few
so you've
times,
virtually
yeah.
got to turn. You've got to be able to accept what you've got, stand away from it, and observe what you've got, and go, "What's my best way of dealing with this?"
Sounds like you kind of calm yourself down a bit
You
by
have to,
doing that.
yeah, because of anything. It's the same deal. If you're learning a trick on your skateboard and you're getting frustrated with it and you gotta fucking get this, and you see crew, I hate seeing crew throw their boards and shit like that, because that's what's giving you the fun. Don't throw it, don't smash it, right? Don't get aggro with that. Go, hang on a minute, step away and go, you know what? I'm going to come at this like we used to do. I'm going to, actually, when I come into this, I'm going to roll my head through this first of all, and bang, you got the trick. Same deal with an illness. You can go there and go, why me, and this, and it sucks, and it's this, and it's that. And yes, it does. There's no truth in taking that away from that. That's the truth. It does suck, right? But how you approach it is how you live with it.
Your mindset.
Yeah. If you want to say it sucks and I need to drink, or I need to bloody whack up drugs, or I need to do this or do that, or I need to get violent or blame everybody else, it doesn't work like that. You need to own it, and you need to assess yourself and be true to yourself, and don't give a fuck what anyone else says about it, right? Like, care what other people say, but you know your body, and you are the only person that can make your body do what your body needs you to do. And you got to listen to that little man in the back of your head, and there's a few of them there, especially when you've got split personalities. But it's like when you're skating, and in our age now, you got that little man in your head, don't do that.
Yeah.
You're not up to that, don't do it. Listen.
Yeah, doubt. Or,
Right.
You know.
Yeah. And it's always there. So you got to be aware of yourself and listen to yourself.
Yeah.
And always know that no matter what you're going through, there's someone way worse off.
Yeah.
You know?
Sounds like acceptance, kind of stepping away from the emotions. of it,
Yeah.
And also trying to put it into perspective.
Yeah,
to
yeah.
some degree.
And it's the same deal like with my partner Deb. Like, she's unreal, you know, with my
Hey, Deb.
with my illness and all that jazz, and she understands it, but it's very difficult for her to totally understand it, because I haven't got a broken arm. I'm not in a wheelchair. She's seen me have massive tremors and all that, but she's never seen me have fully blown seizures yet, because luckily since I've been off all the doctor's medications, I haven't had any.
Yeah.
You know, it's just amazing, you know, what goes on. But everything about being sick is adjusting.
Yeah.
Everything. So I liken it to surfing away.
Maybe that's why you kind of seem to roll with the punches so well, is because you are able to adjust each time. You're accepting of it to some degree.
And aware of it, and watching it coming at me. Not waiting till it hits me and go, oh shit, I'm rightio.
Or being in denial about it. too.
Yeah. Oh, rightio. I know that if I wake up in the morning and I've got that feeling, I know that that's going to happen. Or if I get a metallic, because it's a protein
Yeah, you're
bacteria,
telling
so I
me
get a
that,
metallic taste throughout my body and through my BO and everything. And I know if I push myself hard on those days, I'll go into seizures.
Right. So you just need to look after yourself, be nice to yourself,
and
rest, and
yeah,
Yep.
and just go. Well, I was going to come up and do an interview today, but I couldn't do it.
yeah. So you've got to be flexible.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and hence being on a disability pension because of it, because of the flexibility and the unknown elements. And then people go, oh yeah, but you skate. Oh yeah, but you do this. Yeah, because that's my outlet.
Yeah.
You know, and as Tony knows, you know, I skate, but I don't skate like I used to. You know what I mean? But I still skate.
Well, you'd be worse off if you didn't skate.
Yeah.
You'd be way more unhappy, and you'd be doing something you don't love.
And also it's the connection, like, of all the friends. Like, we're virtually a club for hearing everyone's shit, aren't we? You know
It's a
what I mean?
rolling
Helping
men's
everyone.
shed.
Yeah,
Is that
well,
what
it is.
Yeah.
And how fantastic's that?
Oh, awesome.
You know, and that's what
We had the
best...
skate safari recently. A lot of talking, not so much skating.
Yeah,
a
but
lot of
that's what it's
talking.
about.
You know?
It's a regular session.
Yeah, it's good.
But how good's that though, Clint? Like, to have that, you know, all the time and know. And everyone looks after everyone. So if someone knows someone's not right, it's like, hang on, such and such is what, rightio, let's not tell him that we know, but let's sort of wedge him back into what's
It's
going
kind
on.
of a good opportunity for you to educate people about it, though.
Yeah.
Isn't it, really?
Yeah.
Because, like, you know, I hear about it from you, you know, your friends would know about it from you. They would probably know someone who has Lyme disease.
I didn't know about it until
Yeah,
Richie bought
of course.
it tonight.
Yeah.
But the biggest myth,
Nothing.
the biggest what is it? You know, it's not looked at as a thing that exists in Australia, which is ridiculous that doctors say that, because it's a bacteria, and bacteria exists everywhere. Doesn't stop at the borders. And they go on about ticks. Well, it doesn't just come from ticks. It actually comes from mice in the beginning. The ticks bite the mice. Then
Sounds a bit Black Plague-ish.
then yeah, well, you know, and then the thing is, the ticks bite the mice. Then the mice happen to bite the deer in Lyme in Connecticut, and then Lyme Island is where they first discovered this bacteria, which is called, I think it's called Borrelia. I don't know, I've got so many things in my head. But anyway, it's this type of bacteria called a spirochete, which is a protein-covered bacteria, which is a spiral. And
I think Richie's done his homework on this.
Yeah, but then there's 480 different types of that strain of bacteria. So for them to say that it doesn't exist, and then we've got migratory birds that fly in from Russia and from wherever, and they've all been bitten by the tick or by the fleas or whatever. So virtually any blood vector can pass it on, and it can be passed on in utero as well, because it's to do with blood.
Right,
It lives in your blood, and it's because of your blood.
Can be handed down.
Yeah, and it doesn't always. It's got to have a window to get in, and then your immune system's got to be able to let it in. So it's just one of those things. But it's very pushed down because of you go into it forever. Pretty much the way that the way that the American companies have suppressed it is because the insurance companies are owned by the pharmaceutical companies in America, and they don't want to put up all the money for it. So they've virtually said, this is how you fix it. They paid doctors off to say this is all it needs. 2 weeks of oral doxycycline and you're dusted. It's not like that, especially when you've had it for 20 years.
Sounds like way more complicated.
It's called chronic.
Yeah, it is.
And if everything was like that, it's like what they do with cancer. They can fix cancer, but they don't want to own up to it because of the money that they're going to have to spend on fixing it. They'd rather make money out of it instead of having to spend money on fixing it.
There's an Israeli scientist, I think, that's found something for it.
Yeah, there's just heaps of things, but my belief in life these days is we're not humans anymore like we used to be.
You're partially metal and plastic.
Yeah.
As well,
No, I just believe that we're commodities in this world.
Yeah.
Because before we're born, they want you to have Elevate and make sure you got this and that in you, and then you get pregnant, and then you this and you that, and you need this and you need that to leave until you die, and then they still keep charging you for your graveside or whatever else. So all we are is commodities, and that's the way I look at things in life. And what you've got to do is just take yourself out of that equation as much as you can,
out of it,
and just be skateboarders.
That's kind of a punk ethic, though, isn't it? Really?
Yeah.
Sort of how I look at it.
Yeah.
Read a bunch of DK lyrics and stuff.
Skateboarding the curing cancer.
Yeah.
What did they call them in one of those old thrashers with the nons? Anyone who wasn't a skateboarder was a non.
A non, yeah.
So getting back to skateboarding now, mate, have you been on your board at all recently?
I haven't for the last 4 months because I've been pretty much stuck in bed.
Yep.
Which has been difficult. Again, not for myself, but just in a relationship side of things. It's very hard to explain that without getting frustrated and without partners getting frustrated and all that jazz. But a lot of talking and explaining, which is totally understandable. Prior to that, I rode at Newcastle, and then pretty much every
Chaos.
time, yeah.
Who did you go up there
Chaos.
with? Who'd you go up there with?
I went up with Deb when we were travelling up the East Coast, and Clint was up there, and
Alan, them?
yeah, Al and all that were up there, and even then, like I lose my depth perception and my muscles go weak, and I could hardly even get near the coping up there. And then but I still had a ball.
Not an easy ball to skate.
Yeah, I know, but
especially if you're
when
off colour.
Yeah. So, but
I think skating's a funny thing like that too. Like I think you've got to, when you have
It is
days,
anyway.
as you get older, when you're not on your A game, I think you want to. It's better to be careful, isn't it?
Yeah, well, there's other
Than to
things
really
in your
push
life.
yourself.
Oh, yeah.
When you're about to skate, if you've got other
Like
problems,
work.
when your life gets more complicated, it's even harder to flush all those thoughts out of you.
It's always going to be a hard balance because you at the end of the day, when you jump on a board, you want to be a certain level, and anyone that tells us they don't, they're
and
because you do.
and you
When
have
you get
to,
on there, you always want to push this that little bit more.
but you have to be too. You can't skate half-assed.
No.
It's like when you race motorbikes in the bush and you're in an enduro. If you're stuck behind someone that's slower than you and pulls different lines, you're going to fall.
Yeah.
There's no questions asked because you've got to skate at a certain level. You can't hold yourself back because you're guaranteed you're going to get hurt.
It's more dangerous.
Yeah, I totally
know
believe that.
anticipation.
Yeah. But so
Now, you guys, if you guys have skated with Rich for ages, if you had a particular kind of Kodak moment, like you had to kind of put it down to one of those kind of, the Insta photos, the machine, you'd take it and go, it'd come out and you'd go like that. What would your memory be of Rich skating?
I always just remember layback airs, Rich.
Yeah.
Good layback airs too.
Yeah, good layback.
Yeah, because if you don't do good layback airs, they look a bit.
Well, it's a trick. You either do or you don't, and I'm fortunate to never do them again. But I remember Richard. at Melton, I think,
Yeah.
doing something in the. And I'm seeing checkers because I think you had that.
With a white checkered helmet on.
Yeah, that's right.
Uh,
Yep. You always, I think, what I always remember is the first time I come across someone. And that was probably one of those moments, I think. And as per usual, it was, that's Big Ears. You know, it was someone else talking about the other guy.
Big Ears, yeah.
You know, someone else saying that's so-and-so,
Yeah.
you know. And
Oh, look, that was a classic example, like the 83 comp at Melton. They're going, rightio, next up's Rich Hiatt. And I'm up the top of the half pipe and I'm going, oh, is that you, Big Ears? And I'm going, yeah, you remember that. So, you know, and same deal, like Sack gave me the nickname Big Ears. You
Very kind of
so, and that was.
What's Sack's nickname? Well, apart from Sack, do you have another one or no?
That's the only one I know.
That's it, right? That's it. So,
Yeah,
do you got
pretty
Ching
much.
that one for?
Yeah, pretty much. Ching knows him from way
Yeah, long
before
time.
us.
Yeah.
No, Sack.
But there's
But I mean,
Where
Sack
did
was
Sack come from?
Sack's in the Radland days. Sack wasn't used that much.
no.
It wasn't Sack in the Redland days. There's two things that I heard because I remember. I'm sure that he got a splinter in his nuts at Springvale
I think I've
on
heard
the
the
flat
same
bottom.
story. Yeah, yeah.
On the flat
If you
bottom.
hear it 3 times, it's a fact,
Because
apparently.
the
So,
flat
like,
bottom at Springvale, because I was trying to think about this, the flat bottom at Springvale was nails and splinters.
I'll
right?
text him in a
There was
minute.
nothing else,
Yeah,
right?
ask him.
And I'm sure he got a splinter in his nuts, and I know Rowan Griffin got a huge one in his nuts. And I always thought that he got sacked from that day.
To be confirmed.
But,
Yeah,
then,
I
but
don't
then
know
I've
that
also heard it's because his balls fell out at Melton on a frontside air out of his tight shorts. But no matter what, you're a sack.
That wouldn't have been accidental.
Yeah, right.
I've got a story, Rich. So like Kodak moments, whatever
Yeah.
they were. We went snowboarding one time. I'm not sure if you remember this. I mean, we both got brand new boards. We went up to Falls, I think it was.
No, we went to Bulla,
Was it Buller?
and we got kicked off Bulla, and we had to go to Falls from Bulla.
Did we get good kicks?
Why'd you get cooked off?
They wouldn't
Bulla?
let us on because what are those things? You're not riding them.
Oh, yeah, snowboarding was so
Oh,
new.
right.
You couldn't even
Snowboards
ride- you
were
couldn't
like...
even
It was
snowboard.
brand new. So they wouldn't-
Early
that's right. They wouldn't
snowboards.
let it, a lot of the places wouldn't even let you on the mountain. I forgot that, yeah. So we ended up at Falls anyway, and Rich is wearing this JT beanie, JT Racing.
Yeah.
And we've gone down this runs and stuff, and it's like kind of a slushy day and stuff. Anyway, he's flying down, flips over, head goes into this hole, and he flips out of the hole and keeps going almost like he's flipped over and he's like going, "Fuck, my beanie's gone." And we've searched for ages for this beanie, and he was bumming the most the whole day about this beanie gone. It was his favourite beanie.
That was in the slush puppy.
And then the day got worse. We're going up one of those T-bar kind of.
Which was like that.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was a steep one, and then Richard's like, I'm starting to get cold, it's freezing. It's sort of like starting to get. Sort of,
And I had motorbike boots on. I had motorbike boots on because there was no snowboarding boots.
That's right.
I had my motorbike gear on, so I had my Belstaff pants and jacket on, right, and my motorbike boots. And we're on
wonder
the
they didn't
T-bar.
let you on
so
the
I'm on the T-bar, right? And Richie goes first. Then I'm watching him lean, and he's like leaning, getting like further and further over. There's a massive slush puddle right there, right? Where the snow's melted all day. Sure enough, he falls in it.
And I'm getting dragged
Through the cold water.
It was so
And that
funny.
was it, man. It was like, "Nah, I'm done, I'm finished." It was like, that was it for the day, wasn't it? And then we
Yeah.
went and slept in the back of your car. 'Cause
And
we were
froze.
freezing.
We slept in
We
the
were
car in
freezing,
the
yeah.
car park, and the whole of the internal of the car was frozen because we had the windows wound up, thinking we were going to keep warm,
Yeah.
and it froze off the
It was
condensation.
worse, yeah. So we thought we'd sleep it off for a while. I'll have a bit of sleep, we'll get back up again. We ended up driving home, right? It was that cold. We're freezing. Like, we were just like,
when you get
we should have died.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was
Yeah.
full
Like
noise.
the bloody thermia.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that
But
was,
certainly photos of Rich, I've taken some good ones at Corio of Rich. A nice lean air on the face wall, which I'm sure I've given to
yeah,
you
you
over
give
the
me a
years.
lean- yeah, more a jungle jump or whatever they
Yeah,
call
I
it.
always used to
Melon,
bring
but-
a camera to the session.
Yeah.
Every session, take photos of people. My dad did the same
Thank
thing for
God
us.
you did.
So I've got photos of everyone skating at some point.
Yeah.
your dad had the camera too. His dad used to film him down at West Heidelberg.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, the Super
Yeah.
8.
Yeah.
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 But that's the thing, like, so, and hardly anyone had cameras back then, let alone a Super 8 camera. A couple of the guys had the Minolta 110s, the yellow ones.
Yeah, you'd just have to hope that you got it right.
Yeah,
You know? It was now
and
you
then not only that,
Oh, the
they
phones
actually
are
got
easy,
the
man.
trick.
oh, it's
Plenty of
ridiculous.
shots of the landings. Because there's always a delay, so it was like,
Yeah.
Yeah, we're lucky now. Like for the younger generation, like for us, it's like now we can get This is why we've hung around for 40 years.
But it doesn't matter
now. We can get
It's
good
irrelevant
photos.
now. Like, we're not rad anymore.
We can make it look good, you know.
Now, Rich is a bit of a fancy dresser, from what I understand. He's always got colourful socks on. He's always got something colourful. Have you always been a bit of a fancy dressing, sort of sharp,
sort of,
dressing, colourful character?
On the Mad Rats days, they're always a bit bright. Those pants were.
No, it was always sort of brightish, I suppose.
It's just Richie, mate. It's just his colour,
Yeah,
it's his
it's cool.
personality. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just. I think it's about, for me, it's how I see it. He's a bit of a punk. You know, it's that. It's like, up your ass, mate. I'm
Don't
doing
give a
this.
fuck.
I don't care.
Yeah. No, I never really did it for that, but that's just how I am. I believe colour makes people happy.
Oh, there we go.
And
There you go, that's it, yeah.
but the same sort of deal though. But so if I can get pink and purple,
Revolting.
or pink and green opposite sides,
yeah.
and that's clashing
And odd socks too, or something.
or whatever. You
That's
know,
cool.
If I can do that, and like that's what we always did, wasn't it? It was always to make people. Bloody goddamn skateboarders! Like that's what I always say.
Yeah, colour was the thing in the 80s.
Bloody
Yeah.
skateboarders, you're a menace to society because everyone looks at this as our.
They didn't like us anyway, so how much worse could it get?
That's
Doesn't matter.
true.
Yeah, so.
What do you think about? Do you think it attracts black sheep? Maybe not black sheep.
Yeah, no. What skateboarding attracts is a lot of it is people that have got a lot of passion and a lot of inner strength that the average person hasn't got. That the average person, and people are going to probably hate me, but I call the average person the person that loves footy and they love cricket, and and they're the ones that sit on the couch and all that sort of jazz. Skaters have got that inner strength, and you can tell, especially, I have not had a lot to do with street skaters, but they've got the same stuff and they're probably more mental than us for some of the stuff they do.
Yeah.
But if you go to a ramp and you see a young kid that's just started to skate, you can pick the one that's got the gnarliness in him. You can see it's a look in an eye. It's something that's within that society doesn't accept because we're that far out of the picture in our attitude and in our thought process and all that, which is, like punks and hippies and all that are in a different way. But we got this gnarliness that the average person doesn't understand. And I'll say it now, even how skateboarding is at the moment, there's some really, really, really rad kids around, right? But there's very few of those kids that have got the concrete DNA, right? Which is all the scabs and your bits missing off your chin and off your, everything, all that hard, gnarly stuff and the old bowls, which is one story I'm going to finish up on too. The old bowls and all that jazz that you had to earn your stripes. Like everyone's going off and they're all pushing themselves and I respect that, right? But it's like, you want to skate? Have Disneyland. Don't save up to go to it. Here it is. It's just there. It's yours. And they're rad, right? And they are rad. Take it back to when we were younger. If we had that kind of terrain, it would have been amazing to see where it would have gone back then. But that's how it was. That's how it is.
You're talking about kind of boutique, kind of made parks.
Well, everything's perfect.
Vans to a kind of...
Everything's perfect.
Australia never had that.
Look, classic example, okay? The first Thrasher magazine, the first two were newspapers. The first one had an orange cover, didn't it? Right? Thrasher is now the biggest brand in the world. The biggest worn brand in the world.
I was in an interview yesterday with someone at my work and one of the workers came in and she had a little Thrasher bag. And I was like, I don't reckon you skate.
That's right.
But that just shows
Whereas
you.
when we were young, if you saw someone with a Thrasher T-shirt, you'd make a beeline.
Oh, yeah, and you knew that. Can I want to just tell,
Advance.
I just want to tell about Earn Your Stripes and all that and about gnarly old bowls. So Ringwood was 12 foot plus or whatever, and next door to it was a scout camp where you used to put in your Coke bottles and all that, you'd recycle all the bottles and stuff. And I was skating Ringwood one day and I used to hook in, go down the half pipe and then up and carve right up around the bowl and come up over the hip and go back up the half pipe. And there was these gangs around Ringwood at the time, which in the early 80s were pretty gnarly. And they were only a young crew, but there was heaps of them. And I'm hooking around the bowl and next minute I hear bang, and there's a Coke bottle gets smashed in the bottom of the bowl as I'm going around the bowl. And I've gone back up and thought, I won't worry about that. And I've gone again and I just avoided it. And I hear bang, bang, bang like this. And I've gone back up and gone, whatever. Had another go, gone up around the glass, come back out. turn around and I just see all these guys falling into the bowl. And they're falling 12 foot down onto the broken glass, and it's my brother kicking them all in the head. and they're all falling in, and they've got glass sticking out of their hands and out of their knees because they're falling all the way to the bottom of the bowl. And he goes, "Don't you dare throw bottles at my brother." And like he's punching the shit out of him. But the worst part was there was a couple of the guys up the top that I knew that had nothing to do with it, but he knocked them in. So that's sort of what we grew up with as kids,
That's
as
right.
where you'd never really see that now.
Yeah, that's right. You was all different layers.
Was
You
it
had
rough
to-
for you, Mark? Like
Yes.
back in the day?
We all experienced different things, like the city square with these silly Lebo morons, you know. One of them, we were sitting down and the guy comes and puts his foot on my shoulder and Tony said, "Right, that's it, my dad's in the IPA, I'm calling the cops." And they all just scattered. But every time when we'd go out to Corio, one time we went out there and we slept in the bowl. We took sleeping bags, Poz, Tony, myself, Dave Ross, I think. And I can't remember, we were coming through North Shore and we got chased. We always got chased because you know, so there was that element, plus you didn't have anywhere to skate, so you had to build your own stuff to skate. So there was all these different layers hoops you'd have to jump through just to skate.
Yeah.
So now everything is there. It's like
Quite the adventure just to
you're
skate.
sport for choice.
Yeah.
You know, so I think the standard has to be higher now, and that's where the difficulty is. There's a lot of skateboarders, and the standard is very high. Okay, whereas when we were young, we had these other, you know, elements
Other
to deal
factors
with.
you had to deal with,
That's right, and
yeah.
we were making it up as we went along.
Yeah. And then what we had to ride was
The terrain was shit.
That's
was
right.
not perfect.
What you were
That's
riding
right.
wasn't great
That's
either.
right.
Like even skate Ringwood and Doveton, you had to memorise where all the kinks were, knew where to pump, knew where you could pull your tricks. Because if you
Yeah.
didn't, it'd just break you.
You'd eat
That's
shit.
right.
Yeah.
But in the same breath, we made the most of it.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, of
and we
course.
loved it.
And
That's
loved
all
it.
we had. We didn't give up.
Yeah.
Like I think kids today, if they had really crappy stuff to skate, they'd be like, because they got this really good stuff and the really bad stuff, and they need the really bad stuff.
Yeah.
They just skate the good stuff.
But
We
then-
never had
then
that
You
choice.
get a certain level of skateboarder now, and they'll want to skate the bad stuff.
Yeah,
That's right,
yeah,
exactly,
I wanna
yeah.
go
Yeah,
for
Which
it.
is almost
It's an
like
interesting
Yeah,
thing,
and what could
yeah.
they do? What would so and so do at Melton now?
But you look
You
at,
know,
you,
that
I
sort
mean, a
of
lot of the videos you see now, you'll see like pros, and they could blitz a park, no problem.
Yeah.
Then they go skate something fucking gnarly.
Yeah.
And you
Yeah.
think, oh my God, did they
Yeah.
just do that on that?
Yeah, well, the classic one was, I never saw it, but I heard Chris Miller rolled up at Ringwood. It must have been when the
The ramp right.
ramp riot was on the 89 one. And apparently he's gone in and rolled in and gone everywhere. And then and like the front side hip, so if you're looking down the bowl on the left-hand side was the front side hip. For me, if you could grind that, you were in the top couple of percent of people that could grind that hip because it was so steep, and then the bottom was like that. It was like just
About 3 foot of transition.
come out
ridiculous.
of it, right? And like 3 foot of transition to 12 foot high, and apparently frontside ollied the whole thing.
Fuck.
And that's like just shows you the level. But you know, also he grew up at Upland, which was a nightmare to ride as well. So, but yeah, that was one of the hardest things was learning to ride the kinks.
Yeah.
As where now you don't even have to worry about them, and then we're all bitching if something's not perfect.
Yeah, but I
It's
think
quite funny.
Or too perfect.
yeah,
Yeah.
the
Too
good
perfect,
thing,
yeah.
try to imagine that when parks are first being built, if you've never seen a skate park before, seeing that concrete for the first time,
Oh,
that's what the excitement was.
Yeah.
And still now when you roll up into a car park and you're going to skate and you see the concrete for the first time, for me personally, over 40 years, it's still the same excitement.
oh yeah.
That's cool.
But so
agree,
just imagine you've never seen a skate park before and you go to Ringwood or wherever. It's not perfect, but it's the first time you've
course.
ever been there. So I think that's what was really exciting about it. you
Yeah.
know.
Oh, it was
You drive
incredible.
past a
Most of
tennis
it.
court now, it's like there's a tennis court, you know. But
And that's the thing, and what people don't understand is we never got to see that. We never got to see it on video. When
No.
you know, there was maybe 1 or 2 guys that went to America early on, like Johnny did, and Dave Crabb did, and a few other crew did. You know what I mean? But we never got to really see that.
Yeah.
You know, like even like with Tony with Skatopia in New Zealand, I didn't even know that existed because no one had ever told me that it was there.
Yeah.
You know, and all I wanted to do was go to America when I could have gone there. I found Manly by mistake when I was up there with Mum and Dad on holidays when we went on the ferry.
Get out. No way.
And I
Really?
went,
You didn't know about Skate City?
No. I didn't get told about hardly anything. You know, but then I got told about North Ryde and I got told about Queensland, and Queensland was an awesome trip. You know, I went up there and I must have been 18 and I got a mini moke and I'm driving around and I met Gary Nolan at Tugan and then we went to Burford's ramp and skated Burford's ramp and then we went
Queensland
up to
had a lot
Ashmore
of good parks in
They
the
were
early
good,
80s.
Yeah, for back in the day.
Back in the day, they
Labrador and
had
that.
really, really great parks. That Labrador, Keith Hunt Park is still there.
Yeah.
You know, and the guys go there. Like there's, I think, some thing with Tom Shah. He rolls in and does a 540 on it, and that's 40 years old.
Yeah.
You know,
It's incredible.
the kids don't understand that that's an old. You know, it's been
Quite
there for that
iconic
long.
then, yeah.
It's,
But the same deal, like it was just like all the crew, you know, there's just like this crew from West Oz now with all media and all that, you know, and you could be sitting here 1 minute and there could be people watching this that are in the States, in Norway, in Spain,
that's right.
in Argentina or wherever, and that's what it's like. But back in the day, there was nothing, you know, and you had to ring a telephone and say, "Oh, g'day, Mr. Hallam, it's Rich Hiatt here. Is Tony there, please?" Yes, hang on. He's just washing the dishes. I'll get him. You know? and radio
That's
tone.
my job, yeah.
Radio tone. So
Still my job.
Melton on the red rattler. Yeah, mate. I'll put your board up on the rack. It's okay.
Yeah.
I can't reach.
I know you can't reach. You know, and just you know, just stuff like that. And that was all a network of organising stuff.
Did
on
you
the
call
old-
him Womble back then?
Nah, it was just a bit of a shit stir nickname that we
Never
had.
stuck.
Nah,
Didn't
just
it?
I always
No.
called him Tone.
Yeah.
Always. Yeah, there's just everyone just had a little bit of a cheeky, you know, everyone had a cheeky nickname, and then like once that's one thing when Moomba happened, it actually changed the vibe of things a little
did.
bit
Yeah,
because
it did.
there was the first time prize money was involved in the prizes.
How'd it
And
change it, Rich?
Well, years ago, I reckon you used to do tricks and everyone would, like if you did an invert or something, they'd hold you up and they'd all be amping you up to do it. But it sort of got a little bit, to me, I found, especially with the Festival Hall one, where we're all skaters and hang on, I can't get in through that doorway where I can see all my mates skating and I can't get in because the security wouldn't let me in because they've been told not to let you in. Fuck off.
Yeah, right.
You know, like, and I
There were
remember getting
rules
in.
all of a sudden.
Yeah, and I remember saying to your mum, and she's going, "Oh yeah," I remember sitting there with your mum, and we'd paid our $25 entry or whatever it was. Me and Steve Brown got on the ramp, and he couldn't even get a go because everyone was snaking.
It's heavy, man.
Right, it was so like you can't believe the snake sessions. Like you cannot believe Morty Alec and
right.
at that time it was platform both sides,
Yeah.
shoulder to shoulder, and people behind you.
I've seen pictures of some of the platforms that look quite busy.
Like no tomorrow. Yeah, it was like what it was like a couple of years ago with the young grommets coming up at the
Yeah,
Moss
I mean,
Downs and
you
just
know,
could
I've
not
been
get
a
run.
couple of, you know, the latest things, you know, like Bondi and the ABC and stuff like that. I don't know if you guys have ever been to one like you. I know you have, but, and I have as well. You can't get a ride, and you should just resign yourself. You just can't get a ride.
Yeah. But that's what it was like back in '86.
Yeah.
You know, it was
You can
pretty-
try, but
Yeah, they were always going to do
gotta
it.
make the most of it
You
when
didn't
you
know
get
what you
one.
were going to do if someone's going to have their foot on the front of your board or something.
Yeah. Or you go to do something and someone would have their
We
board
go
stuck
to
out
rock and
or-
roll, and next thing
That's
someone's
right.
Yeah,
on someone's
it was
board.
all
I've
these
seen
little
that at some
darkness.
of the more recent things as well, you know.
but
Like
it's-
some of
and
the,
you get there's you know the
some
guys,
young
the
fellas
guy-
hanging their boards over, you know.
snaking is an art form now.
Yeah.
There's guys that drop in, or guys and girls that drop in before you even fall. They
Yeah.
know that you're not going to make that trick, and
and then off they go. But
Yeah.
that's what you got to do.
Yeah.
And
Did you hear that, Hefty?
Yeah. But the thing is, but also when a session's on,
I was to tell a story, so I can say this. This camera, I was skating at St Kilda one day, and I fell off, and I did what you did. Back foot came off the board. Trying to go for Smith grind. Back foot came off the board, and my back foot got reefed right up near my ear.
Oh, man.
So my knee was kind of like
it's
almost
weak.
dislocated, and I'm in agony, like I'm like pale and passing out, and a few people came to help me. Not Hefty. He kept skating around me, wanting me to get out. So just talking to a snake story. I did it live on there.
Didn't Borgie do that? Borgie got knocked out, and Colin Brown
yeah, at Morty,
smashed into him.
Yeah, his board hit him in the head.
Oh, and he was already knocked out.
Yeah, I was there.
Fully knocked out now.
Yeah,
Twice
yeah.
with a gash.
Best thing about skateboarding, Richie?
Best thing about skateboarding is the people that you meet doing it. That's the best thing. The actual skateboarding itself. So meet the people that you meet and while you're doing what you're doing. The best thing about skateboarding is that it teaches you that you can look at something and you can imagine that you can do something and you actually can. And that's what skateboarding teaches you. That's the best thing about skateboarding is that the impossible is not impossible.
Set yourself
No,
challenges.
he said that. Tony said that once. He said skateboarding set me up for life.
Yeah, it does.
Because you get good at skating, and then you can look at other things, and you've got all the elements. It's just a different discipline.
Yeah, just putting different pegs in different holes.
And sometimes a lot easier than throwing yourself off something.
Of course.
Other things in life are much easier than hitting yourself repeatedly.
Because most things are outside of skateboarding methodical. So skateboarding is too, if you think about it.
Yeah.
If you prepare yourself for a move.
But also, like as Mark was saying before, we had to search and we had to dodge the gangs and get chased by the skinheads across Spencer Street Station and get bashed up by chicks on a train, thinking that what's going on here? You're getting attacked by, a whole heap of chicks, and then a VR will stand up and go, you're all booked. This is back on the Red Rattlers days, and just the bizarre stuff that you had to do. Skateboarders, shit, and then we'd be all running with our duffel bags and going like the clappers. Yeah. You just can't. And so all that part also sets you up for life because, there is, and I've always going to say, I shouldn't use the C word, but I feel like saying it because there is so many self-centered cunts out there that are only about themselves in their lives. And the most of the time those people are like that because they're frightened to step out of what they know.
Yeah.
And as a skateboarder, you've learned all these different things and how to deal with all these different situations, and not many other things give you that. You haven't got your footy club behind you backing you up. You haven't got this, you haven't got that. You got you and you
haven't got your 12 cousins.
You got your parents against you doing it because this isn't going to go anywhere. You've got society against you, you name it. It's all against you.
Yeah.
And now it's not. But back when we were, like Mark said, you have to earn it.
Yeah.
And you got not just to skate. And then you could get there and be full of water or full of glass.
Yeah.
Because it's full of glass because the crew that are those ones that I was talking about don't have that idea in their head and they're never going to be those kind of people. So what do we do?
Fuck it for everyone else.
We'll smash it. And anything that happens at a skate
Sounds
park,
familiar.
anything that happens at a skate park that's vandalism is never done by skateboarders.
Yes.
Ever.
Yeah, that's true.
And that's the biggest mistake. And the only good thing about the Olympics is the fact that it's giving it notoriety now and it hopefully get some really good parks built in some spots that need them, like Phillip Island.
People will still shit in the bowls and spray paint them and break glass.
Yeah, but
It's always going to be losers, man.
It's always going to be the people.
yeah,
that
but like
Keep it about that.
Brunswick's a classic example, right? It's where it is, and it gets graffitied and it gets glass in it and all that. But Noble Park is
that's pretty
pristine,
interesting.
and that's one of the gnarliest spots around. But because it's got CT and it's visible and it's all that, So if you hide skate parks, they bring in the element, and if you keep them where they can be seen, and yes, it's what the good part about it is now is that it's going to be much better for everyone, and it's a spot that people can stand and watch their kids. Mums can come and have a good day, and little junior can be playing on the swings while big junior's out ripping, and it's more a community thing now. It's not so seminal as what it was when we were, But I wouldn't swap what we had for a thing.
No.
Because it's given me my life and what I've got. And I've tried to put my values of the way that I have been brought up through skateboarding and my friends, I've tried to pass that on to my children and make that's their attitude, the way that they think about life and how they approach things.
Yep.
And I think I've done it. So,
Have you done it?
So to me, that's success.
Yeah.
I don't have money, but I have beautiful friends, a beautiful partner and beautiful children. And
You sound pretty rich in other ways. Rich.
yeah, very rich. Yeah. Well, I got introduced once. This is my mate Rich. He's the poorest rich guy you'll ever meet. That's one of my friends introduced me to one of his friends like that one time.
And all of this stuff that's happened, you've talked about a lot of stuff today, and some of it pretty hard stuff, but you're a smiley guy.
Yeah, well, you got to.
Yeah.
You got to smile. And life's what you make it. And you get dealt some classic turds,
Classic turds.
Well, you do. And, and there's stuff that happens to you, but, same deal. How do you get around that? Oh, well, here we are. We've gone all the way from Ringwood all the way out to Melton to skate.
And it's shut.
And it's shut.
Shut.
What are we going to do?
Well, that's
Jump the fence.
Well, and so and it's the same deal. Like you,
Problem solving.
yeah, it is. And that's what it teaches you is you can make this massive effort to get somewhere, and you think you're there, and the carrot gets taken away at the last minute.
The great thing about skating too is you deal with change.
Yeah,
People aren't good at dealing with change.
exactly.
No.
And skateboarders are dealing with it all the time.
Yeah,
Through evolution, just through like you changing as a person,
Yep.
you just deal with it.
yeah, you do. And if you don't, well, it's like the kid that's half decent and he comes into skating and you can see that he's rad, but you know that he's not going to keep going because the first time he hits the bottom, he'll be there laying there crying. Mummy will pick him up, and then Mummy will be suing the council because Johnny Smith slammed in the bottom.
Next week you see him with a scooter.
Yeah, well then you see him with
Well,
a scooter.
maybe he is on a scooter.
No, but you know what I mean. But that's sort of like, if you're going to put yourself out, like I say, if you want, put a loaded gun to your head, pull the trigger. What's going to happen? You know what's going to happen. So you know that before that, and it's the same with anything in life. You got to be able to read stuff before you see it, and that's what a lot of people can't do because it's I want now, I need now, I must have now, and it ain't about that. It's about earning it to appreciate it.
Earning it the hard way.
No matter what it is in life, you got to earn it, and and it's not. You got to win at all costs. It's you got to fail at all costs. You got to fail and fail and fail and step up that ladder. And then when you do achieve, and it doesn't mean you won because no one wins. You achieve. Once you achieve, then you've done the right thing.
Yeah, you learn far more by defeat.
Yeah, always. And that's what skateboarding teaches you because ain't no one going to go and blast a 10-foot air without hurting themselves.
Yeah.
Hang on.
Yeah.
Now, part of the their side is at the end. Often, what we do is we get you to nominate someone who you think would be good to interview for their side.
Yeah, I've got.
Have you had a bit of a think about this?
I have. And
you know how to play the game.
Yeah, I'll say this. I first asked Peter Rowe if he'd do it.
Oh,
But I thought I'd be polite because he's the oldest person that I know of
in the world on a skateboard.
But he went to the States.
Yeah, and he went to the States,
okay.
so he's got a lot.
79.
And so I gave him that option, and he said, "Look, I'd love to, but no thanks." So the next there's other crew around, but I think Luke Foster. I'd love to have Luke Foster.
Yeah.
And also from a whole different perspective of skateboarding, a little bit further up the line, Billy Harrison and Matt Hill.
Cool.
For the Frankston area, because that's a whole gnarly thing again.
Different area, yeah.
And Billy's the biggest grommet around.
Biggest grommet around.
Oh, at the moment he's skate mad still. The
and can skate.
Oh, and can skate.
And they had that park down at what was it called?
Canook.
No, that indoor one. Had the go-karts and that big wide mini and the vert ramp, that spine that went to
Shed.
Yeah, it was a shed, but it was started down there. What's it called?
Not the one at Mornington.
That's it, Mornington.
The Mornington one, the old Mornington.
That was their park.
Yeah,
So you've given us some names: Luke Foster, Billy Harrison, Matt Hill.
Yeah.
And maybe we can work on Peter.
Yeah. No, that's not. No, that hill's a different hill.
Not Matt Hill.
Matt Hill is from Frankston.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Call that Matt Hill. He's not the Matt Hill from the States.
No, okay.
Yeah, he's not the younger Hill brother is Matt, who I really actually quite like. He's married to my mate's sister.
You guys got anything else you want to say as we finish up?
Thank you. Good on you, Richie. Pleasure to know
Good on you,
you,
man.
Yeah, thanks everyone.
Thanks, mate. It's been great to speak with you and get to know you and hear your story, and it's great for these guys to join in on us.
Yeah, I just love to say thanks for the opportunity, and this is what life's about. You can create a thing like this. We're sitting here now, and our grandchildren might be able to see it in the future.
I think
Get out there and jump on your board and
totally.
Yeah, and just enjoy life and
Yeah.
There's no such thing as can't do. It's I don't want to.
Yeah.
It's better
But
to be skating now.
From my point of view, Rich's passion for skating's always been this way.
Yeah, that's awesome.
He's always just been into it, ready
Just him.
to skate. And his recollection of stories is fantastic.
Yeah.
Because he's been around. He's seen a lot of skating, met a lot of people, and I think the time when we were all together as a little group was kind of cool because there was nothing else happening.
Yeah.
And we've been best mates for life ever since. Like we might not see each other often, but we know it's just.
Yep.
It's the very definition of being good friends, isn't it? You don't need to be on the phone to each other every 2 minutes. You can just pick up where it was before.
Yeah, no. But it's just, to me, it's just been a privilege, and also to say that all of these guys take my children on as well and treated my kids unbelievable.
Yeah.
And my partner Deb, like everyone, she said she's never met such a nice bunch of guys ever in her life,
Good looking fellas as well.
Yeah, good looking fellas. We stink a bit. She likes that
they're
perfume
stinky.
that we have though, but like to hear that, that's really makes you feel humble and it's an honour, you know, to be in amongst those kind of people.
Yeah.
You know.
It's and look, I'm really lucky. I get to sit here amongst all you guys and hear these amazing stories.
Yeah.
You know, I'm very, very fortunate. And it's been a pleasure to have you. It's like I said, it's been great to speak to you on the phone the other night and get to know you. And I wish you all the best with your health.
Yeah, thank you.
And hopefully we're going to see you blasting shit sometime in the near future.
Well, when I
somewhere.
can. Well, my theory is when I can, I do. Don't I?
Yeah, that's all. We'll just get you to the skate
job,
park.
Yeah,
right?
just push
and
me
then
in. Just
it'll take over from there.
just rub a knee pad underneath
Rub
the
the
knees,
knee
and
pad,
go on.
yeah. Put on some punk tunes and off you go.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks very much, everybody, for joining us for their side this camera this week. I know that Dean Samet has got someone lined up for next week. I can't exactly tell you who it is. Thanks to my guests for joining me. Thanks to everyone behind the cameras for doing what they do tirelessly and doing such a fantastic job. We really appreciate it. That's it from us. See you later.
Zerafa's trying to get in. What a classic.
Good work, mate.
Thank you.
Good on you.
Yeah, cheers. Thanks, guys.
Good on you, buddy.